Yo, and we're back already. I ain't waiting a whole week to do a SJW live. I was saying I might just do one UK Legends each week, and one SJW live the other week, like alternate weeks on a Monday. But one, there's some shit going on I got to respond to, and two, I got to fit in as much as I can. But we'll see how it goes. Right, last week Monday I swapped it out. For those who didn't understand what the hell I just said, I did a show called UK Legends, and I talked about the history of UK hip hop, and we asked what is the first ever UK rapper. Yeah, who is the first ever UK rapper? And I feel like we kind of answered that question in a way, and that was fire. There's a few people we missed when doing that, so when I do the next episode of that, we're going to continue exploring that question a little bit in a few different forms. I'll get to that another day, right? So that's a new show. It's about the history of UK hip hop, and it actually, interestingly, got more viewers in the live, more comments, more interaction, and everything than any SJW live I've done. So it reminded me that obviously I do come from music. I do have a bigger following for music than anything I'm doing here with the provocative kind of SJW content. So as provocative as this content is, whatever, actually the music stuff does better. So that kind of shows, one I should do more music content, and I do want it. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and two, the SJW stuff is stuff that I do because I think it's important. Yeah, it's not all just for views anyway, whatever. But it creates a lot of negative hate comments, and I did want to do something that would get support for at the same time, right? Anyway, in the mix of that, I did a reaction to this guy called Wayne Webster. We're going to call him Officer Wayne, yeah? Officer Wayne. Wayne Webster, the man I told, just go be a police. One sec, I'm going to get that up in a second. But I just want to do some quick checks on this live. Make sure we're all running smooth. What did I do there? I made us have the feedback. Yeah, cool, we're running though. I don't expect much people in the chat and all that today. I don't expect people in the chat like we did for the UK Legend show. Especially because I didn't announce this. I haven't done this at a time. Look, it's 10 to 10. Like, someone in the comments, the SJW stuff. Chris says the SJW stuff isn't getting the interaction you thought it would then. No, it is. Well, it definitely fucking is. Because actually, the SJW stuff actually, when I chop up the videos, it's still getting more interaction than anything I've done on this UK Legends. But the live itself and like the interactions here with people worked better on the other show that was about music and about like something we're all showing love to. And it kind of makes sense because I get a lot of negative, negative comments and interactions on the stuff calling out racism, right? But those people don't come to the live. The people who come to the live, even for that, are people that fuck with me, innit? So it makes sense doing something more positive that they're into musically is gonna, like, my live audience is more people who support me. Where the other videos get a load of views and interaction and comments and all that from people who actually want to like kind of contend with me or call me out, diss me, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Which is exactly what I wanted it to do and thought it would do. So it's all kind of doing what I thought it would do. But I was just, pleasantly surprised at the positive reaction to that UK Legends show. So today I'm not going to do a mad long episode. I'm going to address this guy, Wayne Webster, who's been running his mouth like an absolute, I don't know, let me not say something too insulting. Yeah, I called him an idiot. I realised on the last video I did call him an idiot, but that was after him running his mouth already. Yeah, that was after him thinking he could get very brave with me, and he's done a load of videos since then responding. But I know he hasn't even watched my video. And 1 second, I've just realised. That I need to get something up. That's not going to be possible. Alright, 1 second. I need to get my Facebook up, and the page that I've got ready to load up is on a incognito page. So I just need to load up another one on my normal, for my normal internet. Here we go. So I just logged into my Facebook already. Boom. Because I just want to show, I've shared something on Facebook already from this guy, right? Where he was talking in my inbox. So we're going to play that. We're going to show how this guy's acting unhinged. Boom. Alright, we'll get that over there first. Well, first things first, I just want to show, let's show this. Let's go back to where we were. Boom. So this is the video I put out. Wayne Webster. And I got a bit of, even Terror Slim said I was going too far with this title, right? I said white rapper wants more black youth in prison. Because that's what I was explaining to him, the outcome of what he's pushing for is going to be. He's pushing for more police involvement, 5-year mandatory sentences for knife carriers, and very much coming from a position of prosecution as his solution, right? And I kept telling him, this ain't really the answer. Go and watch the video if you want to understand why. And I said, tougher sentences don't work. And then I went to, I was telling him this on the timeline, he's arguing with me, being completely ignorant, refusing to listen. Even in my inbox saying, I don't give a fuck about anyone else's opinion. Big up Chris Hayes though, he said the hip hop show was good. Yeah, I'm going to do that again Monday. I'm going to do the second one Monday and continue that. And so I went to the gym. I've just told him tougher sentences don't work. And then I'm listening to Akala's audiobook in the gym, and Akala's talking about the same thing, and he's saying how tougher sentences don't work. And I was like, this is crazy, right? So I've got to mute Facebook so I don't make noises like that. Boom. So this is what I talked about on the show last night. Boom, boom, boom. And I realized he was a Tom McDonald fan, and I decided I'm going to play this audio. But anyway, the most important thing, I'm going to try not to diss this guy too much, yeah? I made a point that I called him an idiot, but that was after he got rude in my inbox and all sorts of stuff, yeah? After him blocking me. And I haven't talked about him like that loads. I have even said, you know, I'm not completely against everything he's saying. And there is place for conversation on all of it. Yeah, there's place for conversation, but it's just not the key ingredient to, and the key focus to solving knife crime. It's just not. And all it's going to do is target young black boys disproportionately and put them in prison disproportionately. And I played the Akala audio in that video that I just showed that perfectly executes that explanation that he could never even argue with. I'm very sure he's not watched it. He refuses to watch any of these videos, which just shows his ignorance. Why I really want to do this live and what I'm going to build this to is someone actually commented on that video that I didn't mention any solutions. And that's a fair point. I didn't mention solutions in that video. So we need to look at solutions. Now, the funniest part, and I'm going to repeat this a few times as I show it, is he started sharing an article today about what they did in Glasgow. Now, he said he didn't know about what they did in Glasgow and how that went. And he's just found out, and it proves him right, because he's going, everyone's telling me, all these people are telling me obviously mainly, telling him that tougher sentences don't work. So he's like, look, they did it in Glasgow and proved it. I'm starting to realize this guy has some struggling in intelligence. He's very, very low intelligence. I don't even mean that. Like, it's just obvious. Like, it's actually, I've never seen something so wild as someone to share an article saying it proves he's right, when the article literally, the entire headline of the article is the opposite to what he's saying. Like, literally, it's what I'm saying. It proves me right. And I did know about it. And actually, it was a caller, again, on Piers Morgan, explaining how the Glasgow system proved there's another way. Not the headline literally says, I'll bring it up, but it says not treating it as a criminal issue and treating it as a health issue or something similar to that. And treating it with care, looking after like housing, addressing issues of domestic violence in the home, etc. Like, they solved it, cut knife crime by 50%, literally by doing exactly what I'm saying and 100% not what he's saying. Yeah, there's one line in it where they say there was a small intervention of tougher sentences at the beginning, not 5 years. It said 13 months. Yeah, and they had a small involvement with the police that they kept at arm's length because their whole thing was not about the police. That's literally what the entire article says. And he's sharing this article all over the place erratically, saying it proves him right. Absolute nutter. Anyway, so I'm just going to play this, what he said to me. And then I'm going to go and play a bunch of the videos that he's been responding, and we're going to just break it down. And I just, like, this ain't a beef with me and this guy, right? I've offered the guy to come on here. He says, I offer it here. I say, why don't you come on the show? You can see it. Maybe we can talk about this on our live sometime. He turns that down here. First, kind of respectfully. Since then, I've invited him to come on the show that me and Blade have. I've put the feelers out for that invite to be sent, and he said no to that as well. Thinks he's going to be set up, right? Because him and Blade, he's cool with Blade. He's been on Blade's show. Blade doesn't agree with me on everything, so Blade can be a good mediator. He said no. He doesn't actually, and he's proving that he doesn't really care about this issue that much, and he's just trying to push it with an agenda. But I'm keeping that open. He can come and talk to me about this issue, and we can actually start looking at the Glasgow method and really look at solutions and start actually working on it, because so far he's not doing that. But anyway, let's listen to what he says. This is what Wayne Webster said to me in my inbox before blocking me. He blocked me pretty much directly after these 3 messages.
Yeah, do you know what it is?
And he, you can see in the message I said maybe we can talk on the live about this sometime. So this is after me inviting him. I was going to invite him on the show, whatever, and address it. Like, we all do care about this issue, so I was ready to address it with him.
Yeah, do you know what it is? I would love to, whatever, but I mean, given it, just to be quite fair, I'm kind of, it's not like I'm being ignorant, but I don't give a fuck about people's opinions, right? Because, like I said, there's innocent kids being killed every fucking week, all up and down our country. Now, what you need to understand is, despite everybody's best efforts, it's still getting worse. I don't know why we're pampering these kids that's carrying knives, right? In all honesty, I'll be straight with you. I think...
And just to, on the issue, just to address this, right? We're not pampering these kids. We're not, right? Not as a community, not around me, not Faz Amnesty, yeah? Not Respect, not like Gangs Unite and all of that. No, they're not pampering these kids. That's not happening, yeah? And it's getting worse because of the government conditions that they're being put under, yeah? So one of the best things I saw pointed out to him this week, as I know someone has said to him, you're going to the cause asking for a solution. You're going to the government, you're going to the police. These are the people that cause the social conditions that lead to knife crime, literally. So there is no solution in doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Give a fuck about them. In my eyes, they're bad kids. I don't know what...
And this is where he goes into like really attacking the kids, like literally showing he doesn't care about them. Do you know what I'm saying? He doesn't care about them as kids. And here's one really, really important thing to say, and it's quite fucked up, but it is what it is, yeah? A lot of the kids who have died in knife crime, they're involved. They're not all innocent kids either, yeah? They're all innocent as much as they're all victims to this system. But there's a lot of them that are involved in gangs, yeah? So you don't give a fuck about them either, yeah? What if the kid who gets killed was carrying a knife too? Is it his fault or not? Like, is it only his fault if he's the one who dies, if he's the one who done the stabbing and not the one, and he lost their beef? Like, we've got to actually have care and compassion for all of these kids, you know what I'm saying? And how they've ended up here, and work out what way we can help them to get away from it.
Why we're pampering...
But this is what he says, yeah? This is what he says instead of compassion.
These kids that's carrying knives, right? In all honesty, I'll be straight with you. I didn't give a fuck about them. In my eyes, they're bad kids. I didn't give a fuck if they go in jail and rot for 50 years. Now, I know that might not be the best attitude to have. But at the end of the day, what are we deeming as good and bad kids? Because we got kids out here like my son who keeps his fucking head down, goes to the same neighbourhood, lives in the same neighbourhood as these kids carrying, and he don't carry a knife, right? I'm straight up going to be addressing all of these fucking kids. I'm going out in I'm out here doing it, like, do you know what I mean? From this day forward, mate, I will not fucking go quietly on it. I'm going to be going around chatting to all of these gangs. I'll be...
Yeah, that's the other point I raised before. This week, someone from Bristol has told me they've spoke to him, and they highlighted to him, well, they were just chatting about the situation and kind of highlighting why his solution isn't really the best way forward. And in that conversation, they raised to him who the Bristol gangs are. It just came up like he just started talking about who the Bristol gangs are and what's going on out there, right? And it turned out he didn't even know who the Bristol gangs were. Like, he had no idea. He was like, "Oh, is that who they are? Where do they even hang out? Like, where is it?" Because saying he wants to go and talk to them, right? He doesn't even know who they are. So all of this hype you've been talking about, and only now you're getting a bit of attention. I'm talking about it, and people are talking about it. Now you actually want to go and find out what's actually going on. Like, if you actually care, and like for your son's safety, you got a son that age. Yeah, I got a daughter. Yeah, who. She's 18 now. From she was 13, 14, I knew who every gang was in my area. I knew all the details about all of them, yeah? And I looked into that. For my own safety, for her safety, for me just to have an awareness. Yo, that's not a safe place to go. Watch out for these people. Watch out for this. Watch out for that. I know who they are. That's just me taking on a certain responsibility and a certain safety measure in my head, so I can make sure I know what I'm dealing with. I know what my surroundings are. He don't even know what his surroundings are. And he's doing all this for, it just makes it really seem like he's just doing it all for attention to get views on his music video. It looks like he doesn't really care about it.
Be on the radio with it. I'm going.
And it also shows, right? Because he said before that these kids are not doing it for fear. They're just doing it. They're not doing it for protection and because they're scared. He's doing it. They're only doing it to promote like a gang lifestyle to show off. Yeah, he said that. But if you don't even know who they are, how can you say that? So you're literally just making a stereotype, generic judgment of them without even knowing anything about who they are. It's a fucking joke.
Fucking go quietly on it. I'm going to be going around chatting to all of these gangs. I'll be on the radio with it. I'm going all out, right? And honestly, it saddens me, mine. I like some of the stuff that you're saying. Like, I don't know. I kind of really would like to chat to you further because I'm sure you're fucking smarter than what you're saying. Like, do you know what I mean? But honestly, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I am smarter than you.
To be fair, mate, I got BPD as well, mine. I got a fucking. So I'm not really the best one to I'm not really the best one to be fucking doing this full stop. Do you know what I mean?
And he says in his song, I said this before to repeat to people, you didn't hear it, so at least you're getting the context. Like he said in his song, I got BPD, no excuse, which I don't even agree with. Like, it's something to be considerate of and understanding. So, but it's also, and I also don't agree with what you're saying that means he shouldn't be the right person to do it, because you can have BPD and do whatever you want and work out, navigate that yourself in your own way. But I just don't think he's intelligent enough. I don't think he's intelligent enough to do this because he's started sharing this Scotland article that literally proves everything he's been saying wrong, and he's sharing it, not realising it says all of that. Like, it's crazy.
But I'm just tired, mate. I'm just tired. I've just had enough of it all, man. But no, bless you, though, brother, no matter what. But I just think that we ain't seeing eye to eye. So to be quite fair, I'm going to turn that down because unless we talk more about it like this and come to some sort of like, oh, no, I'll tell you what then. Because otherwise, mate, I'm going to end up coming on and we're just going to fucking argue, mate.
So he's saying basically he won't do a video with me talking about it unless I come to an agreement with him first that I agree with him. So he won't talk to anyone who's got another opinion or something different to add to it, right? Shout out Gleam in the comments. He said the man is no Farron Alex Paul, right? And I don't know how much I touched on that already, but basically early on he said to me, what's the solution? What do we do then? And I said, well, look at what Faz Amnesty is doing, right? Which is who Gleam is talking about, Farron Alex Paul. Because Farron has an organisation where he goes out and gets knives off young people. Like he has an organisation where they can hand in their knives, and then he takes them to police stations and gets them destroyed, right? And it happens, like he's taking thousands of knives off the street, right? And the crazy thing is, another crazy thing happened. The day after I started all of this with Wayne, with Officer Wayne here, I saw Faz make a post saying that we need tougher sentences, yeah? So like I said in the beginning to him, I'm not saying I'm completely against this conversation, but it's not the main focus. And Faz wasn't saying 5-year mandatory. He wasn't coming with a specific thing. He just said that he feels the current system is not deterring them already, right? And I'm pretty sure I could sit with Farron and have this conversation in depth. And I'm sure Carla could sit with him and have the conversation in depth. And we talk about why that's not the main first thing that needs to happen. He was just talking about a specific situation where someone had been caught with a knife, got a short sentence, came out and they ended up killing someone. Yeah, so cool. That's a context we can actually address something in specifically. Not like this random stuff from Wayne where he's just broadly attacking the community and doesn't actually even know who they are, doesn't know what he's talking about. No, you know what I'm saying? We can talk about sentences in the whole spectrum of everything that's going on, yeah? Alongside the talk about community work. Yeah, he's saying we talk about community work after, once this is done, once the police are put in place as the first solution. No, it's the other way around, my friend. Yeah, this is the most important thing is addressing how we deal with these young people directly, one-on-one, like to actually deal with them. Not, and like he's literally said in his audio, he doesn't give a fuck about them. So that's straight away not even involved in what he's doing. Do you know what I'm saying? Kaleem said you treat the cause, not the effect, or it's endless. Yeah. Alright, let me just finish this, man. I've got a load of videos from him I want to play. We're gonna be here for a minute. Oh, and it's freezing on me again as well. This is crazy. Can I play it like that?
Do you know what I mean? And it ain't gonna go well, like. Dude, honestly, no disrespect, but yeah, my people really ain't liking you, man. And
my people really ain't liking you. So he does a lot of effort here to try and convince me to shut up. He's really been trying to convince me to shut up because he's not happy. He's not happy that I'm shutting him down. He really isn't.
And it's a shame because you're obviously friends with Crazy, and I know he can't fucking stand me. He's all the way wrong, though, and I'll fucking say that to whoever. Like, we had a...
Alright, here's where it gets weird, right? So, because I had Crazy on my show, big up Crazy, big up Rising Sun, because I had Crazy on that show for a separate reason, and I know they're all from Bristol, and I knew I was going to address this guy after Crazy left. I asked Crazy, do you know this guy? On the video. And Crazy went, oh my God, what's he done now? Kind of indicated there the problem. He said he ran him out of a park. Said he had to run Wayne out of a park sometime. Didn't call him racist. And then I didn't even tell them guys my opinion. I just said to them, you can all go and watch it. I said, he's doing this knife crime thing and saying tougher sentences. And straight away, Crazy were like, well, here's my opinion on that. That doesn't work because boom, boom, boom. And he's even like someone who's against drill music, does sit in line with some of the things Wayne's saying. But he wasn't on that for that part and explained why it doesn't work. Yeah. As everyone, nobody's been in agreement with this guy. Nobody from hip hop culture. Yeah. A lot of people who like Police have, but nobody from who's with us. Yeah. So anyway, my point is, he then went on to all these assumptions that all the stuff I'm saying about race and about the communities that get targeted with this is because Crazy has got in my head and told me that he made all these posts about white privilege. So he just revealed that he's got an issue with the concept of white privilege and doesn't accept this privilege. That makes this whole thing really problematic. If you're a person who doesn't understand privilege, you shouldn't be involved in this. That's a fact. That's why you're working with the police. They don't understand privilege either. That's why the police are a problem. Yeah, that's why the police are not a solution. So he's loads of this stuff I want to show now. He keeps talking about how Crazy. The only reason I'm saying all this stuff is because Crazy's convinced me that he's a racist and that he about white privilege. Crazy has said none of that to me. Let me be honest. Me and Crazy are cool now. I really respect Crazy a lot. I kind of always have. But me and Crazy have bumped heads bare times. We're not really, we're not brethren like that. That video me and Crazy done the other day is the first time me and him have spoke in real time. Yeah? And, big him up for coming. Like I say, we are cool. You know what I'm saying? We are cool and cool. We're closer now than we have been in the past. But we've never been that cool. You know what I'm saying? We've bumped heads as well. So, no, Crazy's not my mate like that. Not to the way he can get in my head. And no one can get in my head anyway. It's either the truth or not. But, yeah. It's really funny how basically I haven't overtly called him racist at any point, especially not back then. And he just kind of started revealing all this stuff about himself because he assumed that I'd heard about it.
Moment, that was what it was. He's obviously told you about this white privilege thing I said. Oh, he's fucking racist and all that, mate. This is very, very sad, my friend, because you do not fucking know me, and he does not fucking know me, and I ain't that guy. But do you know what? I generally thought you were better than this, mate. I really did think you was better than this. I'm fucking very disappointed, but God bless regardless. But if you carry on commenting the way you are, a lot of my people's messaged me just saying, look, just block the guy. But I don't really want to block you because I know you'd be like, oh, well, I had my opinion and he blocked me.
Well, he did block me straight after this, so what? And it's like a lot of my people are saying, "What people? You're racist, police-loving people. Who cares, bro? I don't care."
You can have your opinion. I mean, it's a fucking stupid one, but I mean,
Yeah.
you can have it. Do you know what I mean? God bless you, little brother. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure Steve got a bit of part to play in this. Bless his little heart.
No, Steve, aka Crazy, has no part to play in this. I've had no conversation with him about you at all, other than the one that can be seen in the video that lasted about 20 seconds.
And to on a real, I'll give you a word of advice. I got a bigger name than you know.
Listen to that. I got a bigger name than you know. My video reacting to his song has got 3, maybe nearly 4 times the views of his original song. You do not and never will have a bigger name than me, and I don't even have a big name, so who cares about that kind of shit, for one? Yeah, I think he said that reacting because I told him, look, I'll be honest with you, everyone who's gone down this road with me, they end up vanishing and not having a career again. And I didn't mean like I'm going to cancel you, because they all do that by choice. I never cancel nobody. I just highlight issues and they all end up backing out and vanishing. It's just what happens.
Right, I got a very loyal fan base, right? You do not have the power, or Steve do not have the power to stop me rapping, right? So there's that. 2, if you're going to come at me like this, right, and you don't know, I'm actually a really good dude, mate. Right, because I got a feeling because of Steve, you're just fucking looking at this all wrong. But I'm just going to give you a word of advice. If you come at me, it's going to make you look bad, and that's a fact. But by all means, mate, go.
No, it'll make me look bad to police-loving racists, and I don't mind looking bad to them, because to all normal people, I'm looking great. And the whole of the Bristol hip-hop scene, yeah, everyone in the Bristol hip-hop scene who matters, who is anyone, are all commenting on my video, all agreeing with what I'm saying, and all not agreeing with what he's saying. So I'm here in North London chilling, and Bristol's already on my side, so whatever.
Aspire, do what you want, because it looks like to me now you're all chatting with each other. You're all going to try and gun for me. Go for it, mate. Get as many people as you can. You try your fucking utmost to make me look bad.
I know Crazy's not gunning for him. None of them no one else is gunning for him. Like, there's a few comments, but I've not seen Crazy coming for him.
It is not going to happen, my friend.
Alright, that's the end of that, yeah? Little weirdo. Alright, let me just fix my sidecar again, and we're going to go to his videos. So this little weirdo. One sec, let me just check a couple notifications. Alright, boom, boom, boom. Comment on your post. Alright, no, that's about that. UK. Alright, I'm gonna go on. Wait, I think it's not gonna show it at first. Alright. Boom, look at this guy's face. Alright, I'm going onto his page, right? I have to come on this one who's not logged in because he's blocked me. But he's got these videos public. Apart from one of them, right? He might have deleted a lot of them, you know. Because there's the music video, and there's something. I don't know what that one was. Was that from today? No, 4 days ago. Alright, we're gonna try play a couple of these and see what I got.
I'm fucking like, I'm probably going to get banned.
That one was before we even got involved. That was the day I responded to him, right? And here we go. Anyone got anything to say?
So I'm just gonna try. Morning, gang. So getting some good diet.
Why did that just make the audio go? It's annoying. Like reacting to Facebook videos is weird.
Right, and morning, gang. So getting some good dialogue going now, right? And I won't say names in this, that, and the other, but so I'm just
Novar FLIP.
This. So a lot of people saying tougher sentences, right? Basically, this law ain't gonna work, right? Because they said it's been proven. Well, statistically, it hasn't, because it's never been a thing, right? This.
Hold on. My thing is crashing constantly at the moment. One sec. Oh, gotta fix the sidecar. Gotta fix it again. But He's saying statistically it's never been a thing because this specific thing that he's talking about hasn't been done. But the same thing has been done. Do you know what I'm saying? Many a time. So, no, it doesn't work. And we pointed out that it's been done in America. There's tough sentences in America, and it doesn't work. It doesn't lead to less crime. It just literally doesn't, right? And all the times that he goes on about, all this other work's been done and it's still increasing. Yes, it's still increasing. We are living in the biggest austerity in history. Yeah, we are living in a situation where austerity is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Poverty is getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. We can already see the actual factors that are happening that are causing it to rise and rise and rise and rise. So let's address those. But he doesn't want to address those. Yeah? He doesn't actually want to address anything that matters. 1 second, I'm still just freeing up some room. I don't know why it's giving me so much problems to do. All right. Boom. Fucking hell, Facebook just likes to mute and mute and mute, man. Every time I unmute, it just mutes again. What the fuck?
Names in this, that, and the other. But so I'm just going to address this. So a lot of people saying tougher sentences, right? Basically, this law ain't going to work, right? Because they said it's been proven. Well, statistically, it hasn't because it's never been a thing, right? This law has never been tried and fuck's sake, this law has never been tried and tested. So we would never know, would we? But as it stands,
no. But if it has happened in loads of places in the world and tried and tested, then it has. In his like I said, he's not very intelligent. He thinks that because it hasn't happened here specifically like this, then it hasn't tested. No. If this as a broader actual concept has been tried and doesn't work, then it shouldn't be our focus. Such a stupid person. So stupid.
Getting away with it. Now somebody else has made a comment saying, and it was a great comment. They said, oh yeah, well I think it should be addressed early, like seminars in schools and counsellors and this, that and the other. Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, mate, you're not wrong. That will help. But what you need to understand is most of these kids carrying, they don't go to school. Do you really think they're going to turn up to
A lot of them do.
Do you really think a kid...
And a lot of them do, and also a lot of them did go to school before they got to that position. So we're talking about solving it before it gets there. Yeah? And he's not interested in that. Again, it keeps just pausing it for every time.
Everything, fuck you, if you're looking at me, I'm going to stab you up. Do you really think that they're just... Do you really think a kid with a gangster bad man mentality, right, that's fuck the world, fuck everything, fuck you, if you're looking at me, I'm going to stab you up. Do you really think that they're going to be going to school and sitting in these seminars? No, they won't. No, they won't. And I'm going to tell you now, my friend, all of this...
Let me just point out the person, I saw the comment of the person talking about, he wasn't talking about seminars, he was talking about intervention work. Do you know what I'm saying? He's summarising it as some kind of like seminar that's just, sounds kind of insulting, to be honest. Do you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, put them in front of a seminar and they'll solve it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it might be insulting to them. No, we're talking about real community work, and he's saying forget the community work.
I'm going to tell you now, my friend, all of this pampering these fucking kids carrying, what's all that about? Because in one breath, someone's saying, it sounds like I want to punish the world. You should make it softer. Yeah, we should make school softer because the suicide rate in teens is at an all-time high, right? The pressure that we put our kids under in school, that needs to be softer. But as far as rapists raping kids and being out on the street in 3 years and kids waving knives around...
And now he's comparing, he's done this a number of times, talking about rapists and kids carrying knives and the same thing, like that's the same type of problem. Like it comes from the same camera. Huh? Very, very problematic. Very undermining.
Kids waving knives around and getting away with it, that needs to be harder, doesn't it? Anyone with half a brain would know this. Now, I'm all for everybody helping these kids. If you want to pamper these kids carrying, you go ahead. But if I can take a potential murderer off the street, which is what they are, right? I can't stress enough about that, because despite all your best efforts and all your, they're just good kids, they're just lost, we got to help them, right? I don't really care about these kids, and I'll be straight up with you. I'm
said
here
it
to protect
publicly.
the actual good kids, right? I came from a broken home. Fuck's sake. I came from a broken home. I've had a mental illness. I'm angry as fuck. Never once felt the need to carry a knife. Right? I've had knife.
And here's a very clear point. Yeah. Never felt the need to carry a knife. So if you've never felt the need, then cool, good. I hope you didn't. You know what I'm saying? But if you never had, then how can you tell these kids who have felt the need why they're doing it? You can't. Do you know what I'm saying? You can't tell them why they're doing it if you've never done it. Yeah? And the people who are trying to address this issue need to speak to people who have done it in order to solve it. And they do. He's not trying to. He's actually not trying to help it. Yeah. Me personally, I don't want to talk about myself too much. I've wrote this. You could search on my Facebook, Knife Crime, and you'll find me asking a question: who here has carried a knife before? And asking. And my point was, and loads of people came and spoke, and I said, well, the ones of you that haven't, you can't really say why kids are doing that, right? Yeah. He's admitting he's not one of the people that can. Yeah. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to talk about myself too much. I have carried a knife in my life, you know what I'm saying? It's not something I've done loads. I've carried my knife, I've carried a knife, I've carried other things than that, worse things than that, yeah? At times in my life when I felt scared, yeah? When I had problems going on that I was scared about. That's the only reason it happened, you know what I'm saying? So I know what that reason is because I've done it. He hasn't.
Growing up, never once felt the need to carry a knife. Right, I've had knives pulled on me on fucking loads of occasions growing up. Never felt the need to carry. It's not an excuse. It is not for protection, because the kid next door to the kid carrying a knife, he don't carry a knife. So how about you just? It's a bad man mentality.
Yeah, the kid next door who don't carry the knife, the kid who does carry a knife, yeah, he's sitting there thinking, if I'm that kid next door who doesn't, then I am in danger. That's literally the reason. Yeah, you can't just go, oh, this kid doesn't, so he's addressed his fear in this way, so you all must do it. Cool, we have to help them to try and make that decision, but you can't just say it's a bad man mentality. No, it's pretty much never that. If we're being honest, it's pretty much never that. And him saying that just shows a complete disconnect with who he's speaking about. He has no idea what he's talking about whatsoever, and he's not the person to be addressing this.
For protection, because the kid next door to the kid carrying a knife, he don't carry a knife. So how about you just? It's a bad man mentality. It's because you just think you're fucking. Oh, what are you looking at? I ain't fucking having it. That's what it is.
It's because you see what he's doing. He's making a little like mockery comedy thing out of it, and he thinks that's what he's saying. That's his description of what the reason is. It's because are you having a laugh, bruv? Yeah, don't take this for a joke. This is a serious thing. Yeah. And there's so many things about this where I think actually this guy's just actually a total wrong and trying it. Honestly, like it's winding me up.
These kids. Now, if you are happy and you condone these kids carrying, then you're part of the problem.
Nobody condones it.
We should have seminars in school. You're right, but anyone with half a brain would know a load of these fucking kids carrying. They don't go to school, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's a gangster thing. It's all fucking wars and this.
Yes.
They're potential murderers, like. And
yes, there's wars, so they're scared.
How you think that them getting caught with knives and getting away with it is acceptable? If that's how you think, you are part of the problem.
Nobody said that.
I will prove this to you, 100%. I'm going to turn up everywhere, mate. And the fact is, when I turn up and start speaking, 9 times out of 10, people are signing it and I'm winning them over. Well, yeah, anyone with half a brain will listen.
Yeah, because most people support police. Yeah, most people in their normal little businesses you go to, they support police. But in the hip-hop community, we don't rate you. We don't rate your support of police.
I'm going to apologise for my mental illness. I'm not going to apologise for my aggression. I'm loving the dialogue, but you need to come better than this, guys. You need to come much better than this, because like I said, despite all your pampering these kids and wanting the best for them and just giving them the time and giving them this, the situation's getting worse. It's not getting any better. Right, so now how about it's like, well, you get caught carrying them, bang, you're going out to jail for 5 years. And why we're on about the jailing system?
Because it won't help that.
I've got a lot to say to you, mine. You're the people running these jails. How the fuck you running these prisons? These kids are looking at jails like some fucking holiday camp. We are sending them a gangster experience because they go, oh yeah, I'm just fucking going in, fucking. That's the attitude.
And this is why he's right wing. This is the right wing. This is the generic right wing narrative. Jails are too soft. No, jails are not too soft, man. Stop talking rubbish, yeah. But also, if you do even think that, because the jail system isn't working, let's be real, it's not rehabilitating sufficiently. So, if you know the jail system doesn't work, then why would you be here sitting saying get them in jail? Because do you know what happens in the jail? People get stabbed in jail. You know that. So what's going to happen? What, more people getting stabbed in jail, and you're okay with it as long as it's over there? Like, it's just not a solution. There's just no angle where what you're saying is a solution. It just doesn't actually work. You know what I'm saying? But we're at the end now, I think.
Holiday camp. We are selling them a gangster experience because they go, oh yeah, I'm just fucking going in, fucking. That's the attitude. I mean, I know you can say, well, you're stereotyping. I'm just telling you what it is. Simple as that. Like, so take it how you want.
Yeah, it's a clown, man. Absolute clown. Anyway, let's go back to his page. At the moment, we're crashed again, so we can't. I need to sort out why this thing keeps happening, man. It's all good for when I edit it up, but it's all good for then, but alright. So I don't know if the next video was when he started talking about me getting very rude. I think it probably was. I just want to see if there was any others I wanted to really respond to, because that was the first thing he did, kind of responded to me, right? Then he did this little video, talking to police, yeah?
So listen, like we said, we're just not broken. Yeah? Just speaking to these two guys here, right? We're not going to start saying names and badge numbers and all that, but they've been very, very kind. They get... oh yeah, so what's your name, mate?
PC Daily 1543.
Boom! Do you know what?
His new pals.
Before, I was sort of like, two states of minds about coming in, and I'm glad I did. And at the end of the day, like, I can't say if they signed, if they didn't, and what the agreements are, but clearly they've been more than welcome to help. And to be quite fair, they know what's going on there, the prison systems and this, that, and the other. But thank you very much for your time, right? So, and we're saying everybody should be doing their utmost now to try and sort this out, because even these guys will agree there's no excuse to be carrying these knives, given the current state of affairs. So that's them, and that's me. Thank you very much. God bless. So listen, like we said, we're just...
He didn't let them say anything. He ran the narrative. This guy only speaks when he can control the narrative. But yeah, he's interestingly pallying it up with police. One sec. Let me just get this off the screen while I just sort this one out, because let's just get to the one where he started running his mouth. I don't know if that is the correct order of things, but no, I wanted to put it small. I don't want to see. He done it from his bed. Like, why for that for a start? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, let's see what I want.
Morning, guy. Obviously, this is the only time you're going to hear me chat about this Novar FLIP, because I've had a fair few messages him about it now. Messages. He's like big in the scene, and this, that, never mind. The guy's a fucking idiot.
Big in the scene. Yeah.
Crazy, obviously. He's always insinuated.
No, he's not Crazy's mate. I'm not Crazy's mate at all.
Is just making himself look like fucking.
Big up Crazy. You know what I mean? But he's not my mate like that. Me and him are cool, but
obviously,
who's that? Steve LUFC Allen. I don't know who Steve Allen is, but that's not someone I've seen on there. But I'm watching a guy who's put out some videos dissing me. Yeah, shout out to Stephen Trafford. Good evening, bruv. Yes, few people are turning up. This live was not planned or announced, so I know it's a bit quieter than usual, but I'm just addressing this guy, Wayne Webster, who has a knife campaign trying to put mandatory sentences of 5 years for knife carriers, which I don't agree with. And like I said a number of times, I don't completely not agree with it. I just don't agree with it as the main focal point of criminalising, because I think we need to help the community of young people. And I've been showing him a Carla clip from Natives that Stephen Trafford there told me to read. I played to him as the breakdown, and it's funny because I've got another Akali clip for him today, and I think someone else suggested it, but the context of it came up, and you'll see. But this is his video where he gets very disrespectful about me. Yeah, so we need to have a little reaction to this.
This is the only time you're going to hear me chat about this Novar FLIP, because I've had a fair few messages him about it now. Messages. He's like... And
the only time he decided to speak about was from his bed, like half naked. So yeah, whatever you're up to there, mate. I don't mind. I don't judge.
Big in the scene, and this, that, never mind. The guy's a fucking idiot.
Okay.
It's only because it's Crazy's mate. Crazy, obviously, he's always insinuated I'm fucking some kind of racist. Right, but all they're doing is just making themselves look like fucking haters, mate. Do you know how many messages I've had from people in the scene?
Haters for what? And they always do this. Do you know how many people are messaging me from the scene? I know people who don't like me. They don't like me because I call out racism. Racist people, racist people. When he got people in the scene, if you mean Baz and Rise Above, they're not in the scene. They're not in the scene. They're nobodies. Yeah. But don't get me wrong, I do expect some people to message that. But every single time this happens, these guys always go, oh, everyone's messaging me saying this. Oh, you're losing fans. I don't care about losing racist fans. I don't care. I don't care about losing fans that don't understand the hip hop culture and the significance of it. Yeah, I don't care. But they always say it, and nobody's saying it publicly. But yet the whole Bristol scene is agreeing with me on all these posts. All the Bristol scene's agreeing with me. So it's just very convenient that they always say, "Oh yeah, so many people in my inbox." Where are they then? Why aren't they saying something to back you? Because they're not here.
Just saying, oh, have you heard about this Novar FLIP calling you far right? Far right. Why can't I be far right for when I got a black cat? I mean, come on.
You see what he's done there? How can I be far right for one I've got a black cat? So he's taken the concept of I've got black friends, which is something that all anti-racist people and all people who understand those conversations and are educated on see as like a trope, do you know what I'm saying? Like a ridiculous thing that racist people say to try and get out of it. So he's made that more ridiculous by mocking it and saying, I've got a black cat. So he's mocking the idea of anti-racism right here, like severely. So I don't really see how, I'm not really being like overtly calling him a racist. But when you come out of how can I be racist, I've got a black cat, it very much puts you in a category that you probably are.
Listen, dude's a
weirdo.
fucking donut. It's like, I tell you this, you take anybody out there and spend all day looking at me and you tell me what's far right about it. But furthermore,
I already did a 35-minute video explaining what's right wing about you, and I proved it conclusively. Steve Allen said, have you seen that Scouse bloke Darren G choose life not a knife? I feel like I might have seen that. Darren G, yeah. I think so. He's one of them guys that does them, like he's one of the kind of guys who do the crime podcasts, right? And he's probably been on James English or that. He's in that circle of crime podcasts and that. I think so. But I bet you, I want to look at that because what I should be doing as well is looking at these other anti-knife campaigns and seeing what their focus is. Because like I'm sure a lot of them are not focused on police as their solution. Most of them are focused on working in the community. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is, he's saying, forget the community, forget the kids. I hate them and they're bad kids. Lock them up in jail. So that's my problem. Yeah, and I want to actually show examples of other knife crime, things like that. So that'd be good to find.
our mate are in the spotlight. I mean, this dude's just hating on someone that's clearly trying to make a difference. I'm telling you.
And all this hating on, like, what do I have to hate on you? You are nobody to me. Like, literally, I've never heard of you before this. I never heard of you before this. Someone sent it to me, yeah, because they knew that I would actually have an issue with what he's doing. Someone was like, look at this guy, he's going crazy, targeting the black community about knives. And I'm like, what's going on here? So I addressed it. He's nobody. He has no significant impact in music, nothing like that. Like, my reaction video, I've said it enough times, my reaction video to his music video has 3-4 times the views of his actual music video. And that's not even a lot of views. I'm not getting crazy views like that on these videos talking, but it's still 4 times what he does. So what am I hating on? You're not achieving anything. Like, I think you're only doing this for a buzz for your music video, and I'm probably giving you that. I'm probably giving you more attention than you've ever had. Do you know what I'm saying?
You know, Novar FLIP, mate. If I was you, I'd wind it in, mate, because you're making yourself look like a fucking idiot.
Steve Allen said G and his brothers have done loads of time. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the guys you're talking about. Because I was following for a little while. I don't follow loads of them guys, but I was following Living in London, Daniel Lazar, right? And he was having beefs with loads of these guys. So I ended up seeing a lot of their names from that. And I'm pretty sure I saw the anti-knife thing with Darren G. And I might have seen him go on some podcast, maybe Young Spray. But yeah. I was following it. I followed it from then because one day I'm going to tell a story, but me and that Living in London, Daniel Lazar, have a story. A story I've told on YouTube, a story he's told on YouTube, but we haven't told it as in crossing paths, and most people wouldn't realise it's related. But one day I'm going to do a live about that.
But yeah, whatever. This is the only time I'm going to say anything about this fucking dickhead. Because
fucking dickhead, yeah.
Things to do.
Now, all this here, all this fucking dickhead donut and all that, I've learned to not really care about this kind of shit. Do you know what I'm saying? People who know me, like, I don't pretend to be a gangster and all of that, but I've been outside. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, when we were doing music, we were outside doing certain things we probably shouldn't be. I, in the past, have let my temper get ahead of myself in the UK hip hop scene. Do you know what I'm saying? I had a situation before where a man dissed my album on a forum, and he ended up in a very bad way. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I wasn't a guy anyone spoke, like, none of my people were guys that got spoke about like this on the internet, and that's what's gone crazy with the world. Idiot like this thinks he can talk like that about me on the internet, or anyone. Do you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't even speak to him about him like that. I just wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do that to my face. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it just, and when I say that, I'll say this all the time, like, you'd never speak to me like that to my face, and I know 100% you wouldn't, yeah? But I also wouldn't speak to you like that to your face without a reason to, because who does that? Or who actually is that confrontational when you're talking to someone? Do you know what I'm saying? Stephen Trafford, some chat is a bit hyperbolic, but it's to illustrate and add weight to a point. Hyperbole has its place, but you're always on point. Yeah. I definitely know I play into hyperbole and that. And it's sometimes, a lot of the time that's intentional to get everyone to, like, oh my God, do you know what I'm saying? To get the people who are going to be reactive to it. And then we can get into the intricacies. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing that to him. You know what I'm saying? It's hyperbolic when I put the title to his video when I said white rapper wants more black youth in prison. Because that's not literally, I got called out for that, but it's not literally what he is saying he wants, etc. Do you know what I'm saying? But when you break down the whole video and the intricacies of it, that is actually what's happening. Do you know what I mean?
My life. Do you know what I mean? I mean, clearly him and Steve got nothing better to do with their life. Like, I mean, all they're trying to do is just make me look bad and bring me down. But all they're doing is just making themselves look like fucking haters. Do you know what I mean?
Like nobody anywhere has called me a hater for this. Nobody. Oh no, actually, one guy did. One guy did on Terror's Wall, who was obviously his mate, and I said the same thing to him. What am I hating on? Like, tell me what I'm hating on. What? This guy who has a tantrum and the thing and is making a video for me when he hasn't got out of his bed. You're having a laugh, mate.
Yeah, it's beyond me. But off the back of that, so obviously I had a text this morning from one of my friends just saying the world's going to end, apparently. I think it needs to. I'm not being rude. I mean, I love my son to bits, and there's certain people on this planet I love to bits, but I think this world needs to start again, because, I mean, how you can have a geezer right there that's got no racist bone in his body, never said anything of the sort. Do you know what I mean? The guy don't eat.
No racist bone in his body. Yeah, I wouldn't even say that. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I understand racism is a structure we are all raised under. And as white people specifically, we all are involved in it and contribute to it and benefit from it. And we have to be aware of that in order to counter that. So this is not the answer for someone who's not racist. Do you know what I'm saying? And when you've been told what you're doing is going to disproportionately impact young black men, young black boys, and you say, I don't care, then you're choosing to be okay with that. So now you have said and done something racist. You know what I'm saying? Stephen Trafford said his rapping makes him look bad. The politics make him sound like a effing child. Yeah, he's very childish, man. And I just think he's not very intelligent, if I'm honest. Steve, man, wait till we get to the bit where you see this Glasgow, because I know you've joined in that later. You didn't see where I talked about Glasgow. Yeah? He is trying to use this Glasgow thing that happened as proof that he's right, when it literally proves him wrong. So we're going to pull up the Glasgow article and show how he shared it, and we're going to show Akada talking about that Glasgow article and it gives again the breakdown to why everything that happened in Glasgow proves that what I'm saying is right, and everything that happened in Glasgow proves that what he's saying is wrong. And literally, this in the article he's sharing himself, and he just doesn't even realise it.
But know me, this is the thing, like, it worries me. You got people that live out there who reads one page and thinks they knows the whole story. Do you know what I mean? But there's only.
I don't care about. He's saying that I don't even know him yet. I don't care about knowing him. Like, when I'm talking about racism, it's like, let me just be clear. I'm not really calling this guy racist as a person. That's not the issue. Yeah, racism is societal. He's contributing to it, probably unknowingly. But how unknowingly is it if, like I've said, it's being explained to you and you're saying you don't care and you're blocking people? So you're eventually being willfully ignorant, and that's what your white privilege is. He's said that he doesn't believe in white privilege, so that's proving your white privilege, because you're oblivious to what's around you. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Stephen said, really, oh my God, that's going to be a train wreck of idiocy. That's, bro, yeah, that's why I'm doing this live today. I saw him post that article about what happened in Glasgow, and he done videos all getting excited about how it proves that he's right. And I just couldn't believe he was saying it. I was like, how stupid could you be to not realize this proves you completely wrong and use the thing proving you wrong as a... my mind was blown, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just insane.
Crazies went on his show, and I know it's to do with him. Story.
And he keeps going. He keeps saying it's because Crazy's gone on his show and he knows him. Me and Crazy are not brethren like that. Crazy has said nothing to me about this guy. He's had this whole paranoid delusion about Crazy. He keeps saying that Crazy has told me that he's racist. Crazy's never told me he's racist. So he's just exposing that there was something that went on in the past where Crazy said he was racist. He literally just keeps exposing himself.
Do you know what I mean? But it's only because Crazy's went on his show, and I know it's to do with him because he's always insinuating a gay. Well, yeah, I think he's gay. I think Steve.
Yeah, and to slip there, he's insinuating that he's gay. Boy, it's what it is, man.
In the closet gay mind. That's what it is, because he's certainly got a fucking hard on for me. And I'm not the first person to say that. But this is the only video I'm going to make. I'm never going to speak these names again. I will never speak both of their names again.
Because he can't. Because and I know he still ain't watched my first video I done on him. Because he can't look at the actual content of what's being said and shut him down and respond to it. He has to just make this waffle video.
They're not on my radar. I don't look at them. Do you know what I mean? But what I'll tell you this. If anybody out there thinks nobody do think I'm far right. There's only these two fucking people. I mean, to even say
you are.
This is fucking... But
you are far right. You're definitely right wing. Your idea of wanting police to be the solution to knife crime is a right wing. Politically, it's a right wing solution. That's just a fact. It's just just where that aligns politically. The idea that prisons are too soft, all of that is right wing rhetoric. It's just a fact. Like, this guy just doesn't understand anything about what he's talking about.
Part of the reason why I think the road should end. Because you've got people out there it's like you could be Bob Marley and be shot at. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could be Martin Luther King and get fucking killed. Do you know what I mean? It's just a fucking...
Because of the right wing. What is he talking about? How stupid is this guy?
Well, we live in, man. Do you know what I mean? I could go on and on and on. You could John Lennon, fucking hell, man. Do you know what I mean? Fucking beautiful guy, like fucking shot dead. Like, I could just go on and on and on. You got people out there really trying to do great things. I mean, the thing is, like...
Wait. Is he comparing himself to these people? Has he got some weird little god complex comparing himself to these people?
All I want is schools to calm down. The fact they grade... I'm not even going to fucking explain myself. I don't need to. But, mate, you're a bellend.
Yes, you do.
You're a fucking bellend, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you'd never tell me that to my face. Yeah? But... He's saying I don't need to explain myself. Yes, you do need to explain yourself. You're trying to get people to sign a petition. You need to explain why.
Proper bellend. All you're doing is just making yourself look like a twat. Like, because at the end of the day, you go and check all my music out, you listen to everything I said, and you tell me what's far right about it.
I did. I made a 35-minute video breaking down, pausing and showing your lyrics and breaking it down and explaining why they're right wing. More stop and search, right wing. That's a fact. Like, it's factually right wing politically. Shut up, Bad Slave, aka Terror Slim, in the comments. He's just turned up. Yeah. Terror knows, yeah. When man was actually, there's no way anyone would speak about like that to us outside on the internet, nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? I would say, I know Terror missed it, do you know what I'm saying? But I don't really talk about this online, but I once overreacted to a man saying my album was shit in a forum, yeah? And it left him in a very bad way, do you know what I'm saying? And man, I think they can come on the internet and say, dickhead, donut, twat, and are you having a laugh, bruv? Yeah? Obviously, I'm a grown man. I'm now calm. I do, you know what I mean? I do yoga. Do you know what I'm saying? We can handle this thing differently. So, but I am going to come on the internet and savage him, though.
Fucking idiot, like.
Yeah,
but,
effing idiot, yeah.
Him and Steve's fucking doing the thing, like, in the closet. Who knows? I don't know. Fuck knows.
I don't know Steve like that.
I'm going to say about these fucking idiots.
I don't know Crazy like that. Not my brethren like that. He's cool. We've got closer recently on him coming on my show or whatever, but that's basically it. I'm saying I spoke to him in the DM after that, and I think that he's cool. That you know what I'm saying. I like what's going on in Bristol. I like all his artists and how his artists really mess with me. They come watch the show. They're all supporting this. They're all disagreeing with this guy. The whole of Bristol's with me. Cool, but Steve Allen said he ain't one of these right-wing rappers the boomers like. Basically, he is, yeah. So, Steve, like, after this, like, go and watch the video on my page, I would say, where it says, white rapper wants more black youth in prison. And I break it down there. And halfway through the video, someone said he sounds like Tom McDonald. And then I went on his Facebook, literally live, in the live, I went on his Facebook and thought, let me search Tom McDonald and see if he's a fan. And literally, he had a Tom McDonald video on his page saying, love this guy. So it's like, yeah, he's trying to be a UK Tom McDonald, basically. Chris Hayes said Word Life was doing bits, good bits. Yeah, man, Word Life are killing it. Fully killing it. Like, they've got a whole movement, you know what I'm saying, of all kind of rappers, different sounds, and you know, all coming together. All right, let's get his page back up. I don't know how much of this I'm going to show. Bias Slave said Tom McDonald, red flags, red flag, red flag. I'm going to start putting you lots of comments on the video, you know, I just ain't set it up today. I did this like out of nowhere. I think next week I will get that on the screen. Alright, hold up. So here he's at some gym getting them to sign his petition. Hey, we showed the bit where he was chatting to the police. Officer Wayne chatting to police, no surprise. What's going on here? Oh no, that's just him playing, like him lying. Yeah, he goes outside the shop and goes, look, I walked in my shop and they're playing my song. No, you asked him to do that, bro. I forget that one as well. So, where's the one where he talks about, or is this him rapping? I don't want him rapping.
Listen. Money rules the world, is everything.
No, thank you. No, thank you. Although you can hear the Tom McDonald in there.
When you don't have none, working like a dog to make up off the cost of freedom. I'm lost within it all, cause in it.
Anyway, you know, he done a freestyle for 521 on the Blades thing that's quite good. He's not like, he can rap, but most of it's quite corny. So here we go. This is literally proofs what I have been saying, guys. I'm telling you now, do not be so flipping ignorant. Is that shot at me, yeah? Don't be so flipping ignorant, yeah? If you are not signing and sharing this petition, read this now. This is insane. I can't believe, like, he actually thinks. Oh wait, I think there's a video of him talking about it. So let's just watch the video of him talking about this, and then we're gonna actually look at the article, yeah? Because it literally is saying exactly the opposite to everything he's saying.
Guys, so like, please.
Hold up. Oh, it says that video is no longer available. He's deleting his videos. Is that what's going on? Or has he like made his page private while I'm on this live? Is that what's going on? What's going on? No, he hasn't. Come on. Let's see. Has he just deleted that video? It seems like it's still there. Alright, well, don't worry. Wait 1 second. I've downloaded the video anyway. I've got it on my computer. Let me just find it. Let me just find it quickly. I'll just quickly find it. And it was better actually. Oh yeah, I saved one of them as Wayne Scotland. Then there's one that says Wayne today. I'll just play the one that's Wayne Scotland, which doesn't even look like it's that one, to be honest. Well, let's just play this one. Let's just play this one.
Right, so I'll say it like this, yeah? So I've had a few conversations with people, right? Now, I've always been one of these people that know, right? This is why I am the way I am, because they say knowledge is power. For me, it isn't. It's pain, right? Because I'm powerless and I got all these no in my head and this, that, and the other. Now, I've always said anyone with half a brain would know this would work. It's been tried and tested in Scotland.
Yo, well, I hope Steve Trafford's there, because I know Steve Trafford knows about this. Sorry, my hair is messy today, man. But, he knows about this. He's saying it's been tried and tested in Scotland. It's so... I can't wait till we pull this up and look at this article, because it's literally not what happened. Like, it's just the opposite of what happened.
Right now, I can tell you this government didn't give a fuck about us, because not only did they hang up on me this morning, but furthermore, if you do your research, right, because you all know our Prime Minister, yeah, Rishi Sunak. Clearly you know that fucking prick. Right?
Yeah, of course.
He's been on telly. Now, our country has just given £12 billion in aid to Ukraine, right? If I might not be exactly right with that, but it's 12 billion. He's on there. You could go and do the thing, right? To aid them in tanks and drones, right? So they got £12 billion to spend on fucking weaponry. Scotland, all they spent was 14 million, right, on putting a team together called the FRU, which is a violence reduction unit. Right, so
yeah, violence reduction unit that focused on the community, on helping the community, helping young people, intervention in the family. Not what he's talking about.
Alongside that, and this law I'm trying to enforce, they dramatically.
Steve Trafford, bro, I have the Ocala video. I've got the tab open already. We're watching that after. I want to look at the article first, and then we're going to break that down.
Increased knife crime by 46%. That was back in 2017. It still stands that way today, right? They pretty much cut their knife crime in half, right? Now, my thing is this. When I spoke to the people in Parliament, they didn't even know about this. And most of you probably don't even know about this.
I do.
But what I'm saying, if
You didn't know about it. Yeah, I saw him write on his thing that he didn't know about it. I knew about it because I watched the Ocala video. So I already knew the context of it. He's seen one line in that article and got carried away and run with whatever he wants because he's I don't know if he's a narcissist, what, his brain's not connecting with what's actually going on.
you could spend £12 billion on building fucking tanks and this, that and ever, surely you could donate, I don't know, 1 billion? Or what, has Scotland done it, just like 100 million? Because I know the UK's a little bit bigger and blah 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 and whatnot. Guys, come
He's talking like the UK, that Scotland's not part of the UK also, which is weird.
on, man. Fuck's sake, like, you need to, if you're one of them people say, oh, I don't think it's going to work. Well, it's in writing, in the Guardian paper.
No, I don't not think it's going to work. I know it's not going to work because the thing in Scotland proved to us it's not going to work.
I've been chatting to a lot of people from Scotland, and every single one of them are like, man, it's mad that the UK haven't done this yet. I am so fucking disgusted with this government, how they haven't adopted this yet. Because what's going to...
Steve Trafford said he thinks that unit locked up less to stop knife crime. This is so ignorant, bro. Can't read, obviously. Face
another
palm.
5 kids to die, another fucking 100 kids to die. Honestly, I'm being serious now. Now I got my proof now, because before, I mean, I knew that it would work in anyway. I'm not a fucking idiot, right? So, like, and I'm certainly not fucking ignorant, because it took me 3 TikTok lives. Right, even though I've been banging on about this for a while, all it took was 3 TikTok lives for me to find out this information. Now you got...
So he had to go on the TikTok live 3 whole times. He had to go on a TikTok live 3 whole times for someone to share him this article. Yeah? And let's not, I bet you someone shared this article to him to prove to him that that he's wrong. He didn't clock it. Fox E said she's colorist AF. Who's colorist AF? Is that something to do with what's in my title or what?
Loads of people out there going, oh yeah, you don't know what you're on about. We've been combating this knife crime for ages. So why didn't you know about this then? Because it only took me 3 TikTok lives. Honestly, people, if you want to help these kids, get this petition signed. I'm gonna keep on banging at the Houses of Lords. And anyway, because the way that you pass a bill, right? So you get a bill, you got to pass a bill, you go have a debate, and you...
Foxy said this man is extremely painful to listen to. Look at his face. You can tell that freeze frame there is painful to listen to. Don't worry, we won't be listening to him for long. I'm going to get him off the screen. I'm going to talk through the article a bit, and then we're going to get a caller on the screen, and then I'm going to move on.
Got to statistically prove that the law you're trying to enforce is going to work, right? Well, I got it now, and anyway. So the fact that this government...
So wait. He's saying he's going to use this in his argument for this petition. He's going to use this Scotland thing to statistically prove that it works, when it statistically proves that it's the opposite that works. The guy is so mad.
That already is sickening. But I'm telling you now, I'm gonna keep phoning the Houses of Lords, mate. And one day, somebody's gonna fucking listen. Someone with half an art in their test is gonna listen. But I would implore everyone, stop ignoring this. Stop ignoring this, please. Love you.
Guys, absolutely, so far off the mark. It's nuts. You know what I'm saying? But alright, so let's just get to where he shared that article. Yeah. Here, this literally proves what I've been saying, guys, yeah? We're going to get the article. Oh, wait, I haven't got it on the screen, sorry. Chris Hayes said, this guy's going to save Britain. Here we go. This literally proves what I've been saying, guys, yeah? I'm not gonna like spelling shame and like be a like grammar Nazi or nothing, but, come on, get yourself together, bro. He's saying, how Scotland reduced knife deaths among young people, and he's literally sharing this on his wall. Now, this is the guy who says, forget community action, we must lock them all up, they're horrible bad kids, lock them up. He's literally saying, for those of you who ain't only been here a while, yeah, I'm gonna edit this up into a proper video so you can watch the beginning later. He literally said, I don't give a fuck about these kids, they're bad kids, like we need to get rid of them and lock them up, because I don't care if we lock them up for 50 years. So he's literally saying that's his angle. So no like caring for the kids involved. And then he's saying that this article here and this action here that happened in Scotland that he didn't know about, that I did know about, proves him right. How Scotland reduced knife crime knife deaths among young people, right? This is the first headline of this. Treating knife crime as a health issue has led to a dramatic drop in stabbings. Of the 35 deaths of young people in Britain this year, none were in Scotland. Treating knife crime as a health issue. What part of that says lock them up for 5 years? Because I'm gobsmacked that this guy thinks this proves anything for him. Yeah, we're going to get to the bit that addresses him, and like I've said from the beginning, I am not saying I'm completely against talking about sentences and stuff. Yeah, but it can't be the lead focus, right? And this article does touch on that one little part, and that's why he's got run away. Saw that part and gone, oh my god, I'm right. No, it's not saying what you're saying, and it also says, let me just get to it rather than talking too much, man. In 2005, right? So this is a long time ago for a start, yeah? In 2005, Strathclyde police set up a violence reduction unit. That's what you just mentioned, right? VRU. In an effort to address a problem that had made Glasgow in particular notorious. Later that year, a United Nations report illustrated why that strategy was so urgent. The study concluded that Scotland was the most violent country in the developed world. You hear that? Most violent. And I've seen a caller point that out. It might be in the same video. Based on telephone interviews with crime victims conducted between 1991 and 2000, it found that excluding murder, Scots were almost 3 times as likely to be assaulted as Americans and 30 times more likely than the Japanese. The VRU, which is directly funded by the Scottish government and has an arm's length relationship with Police Scotland. Arm's length. Yeah? Cool, we're going to work with you a little, but keep there. Not like his video of going up to them and giving them a hug and filming them. No. Arm's length. Yeah? So I just can't, honestly, I'm going to keep saying it. I can't believe he's actually taken this and thinks this is a win for him. Literally. Was later rolled out across Scotland. It has adopted a public health approach to knife crime in which the police work with those in the health, education and social work sectors to address the problem. The results so far have been dramatic. Beyond the Blade, why we have launched this project. I think this is a separate part, right? Alright, of the 35 children and teenagers, obviously the numbers of this way beyond 35 now, what's going on. So it has got worse, like across the country and all of that, you know what I'm saying? But this is showing how doing a specific work in an area has a positive impact. Killed with knives in Britain so far this year, not one has been in Scotland. By contrast, in England and Wales, 2017 looks set to become the worst year for deaths of young people by knives in nearly a decade, according to figures revealed by the Guardian's Beyond the Blade project, which aims to show the true picture of knife deaths among children and teenagers in the UK. Boom. Between April 2006 and April 2011, 40 children and teenagers were killed in homicides involving a knife in Scotland. Between 2011 and 2016, that figure fell to just 8. The decline has been most precipitous, I don't even know that word, in Glasgow, which once had one of the highest murder rates in Western Europe. Between 2006 and 2011, 15 children and teenagers were killed with knives in Scotland's largest city. Between 2011 and 2016, none were. The number of people carrying knives also appears to have declined across Scotland. Right, I'm going to actually try and skip through some of this rather than read the whole article, because this is just giving more and more stats of how it declined. Right, we can kind of gather it's declined a lot. Some of Scotland's success in tackling knife crime is due to factors that are arguably unique to Scotland, but there are also lessons here for the rest of the UK in general and London in particular. The evidence from Scotland suggests that while knife crime, like most crimes, can never be eradicated, it need not be understood as an interactable cultural feature of urban life. To successfully tackle it, however, there needs to be a shift in understanding of the root causes of the problem and therefore what a durable solution might look like. root causes of the problem, which he is saying is just a bad man gangster mentality and nothing to do with social conditions, right? He's literally said that. I've shown that in this video. So absolutely. Shout out Steve Allen, said he's chipping later. Look out for the video, bro. I'm gonna chop this up into a more like structured video later and re-upload it. The Scottish approach was quite conventional at first. The police played a central role in the beginning. This is the bit, right? This is the bit he's excited about. The police played a central role in the beginning, explains Christine Goodall, who along with 2 other surgeons found Medics Against Violence in 2008, a campaign group which works with health professionals, law enforcement, social services and other bodies to thwart violent behaviour. They campaigned really hard to get the legislation around knife crime changed so people would be more likely to get a mandatory sentence. So these people pushed for that, right? There was also an outset and a lot of stop and search. So these lot, they've pushed for this, right? But remember, this article started saying arm's length involvement of this. So this is a very small part of what this article is. The average sentence for carrying a knife in Scotland has tripled from 4 months to an average of 13 months, right? In these 2 times. Cool. Still nowhere near the 5 years he's talking about. So we're talking about like a 1 year, right? Where people are getting 4 months to 1 year. Maybe that's more realistic. Maybe that makes sense. Do you know what I'm saying? Alongside all these other things. And like I've said, I've never said it's not in the conversation, but it's in the conversation as a smaller factor around all these other things. And any involvement of police action, and Carlo will probably explain this better when I play the video. Any involvement of police action has to be in the context of understanding how it's going to disproportionately impact that young black men. Do you know what I'm saying? And we have to be challenging that alongside it as well. The issue, says Godot, were concentrated in certain areas, particularly around Glasgow, using intelligence from police operations. The VRU identified those people most likely to offend, asked them to voluntary attend the sheriff's unit. They did not have to come, but encouraged by community police. A lot of times did come, Well, this is just kind of explaining how they targeted gangs. Their police mapped all the gangs, blah, 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 which, as I've shown, Wayne has no idea who the gangs are. You know what I'm saying? Here we go. The decision to treat knife crime as a public health issue rather than simply a police matter appears to have underpinned both the direction and support. The fact that the initiative, if publicly funded, means strategies can be coordinated coherently and organisations can concentrate on the task at hand rather than constantly looking for money to fund the next project. That makes a big difference. Obviously, these things are all underfunded, so that, you know, we do need that funding to go into it. Charities have completely short-term funding, so we're able to make a more coordinated approach with a more stable support. And Susan McVie, Professor of Quantitative Criminology at University of Edinburgh, points out that police working alone have a limited capacity to prevent knife crime. Fewer than 2% of stop and search in England result in recovery of your knife. Fewer than 2%. Oh my god, I haven't even read this shit. You know, I read some of it at the beginning, and I just saw that like the actual opening of the article completely was against everything he was saying. Look at that. Fewer than 2% of stop and searches in Scotland result in recovery of a knife. That's why this was going on. So that wasn't the factor that done this then, is it? Is it? No. What was even... I skipped past that bit because I didn't see the relevance, but I said some of it. What was them targeting the specific gangs and like using intelligence to track them down, not stop and search, which they already know who these people are. It's not even that hard. It's hard to profile kids who carry weapons because a lot of those who carry a weapon aren't the ones you'd expect. There might be kids from middle-class backgrounds who feel frightened. This is the article he's sharing, He's sharing this article and then coming online and saying it's nothing to do with being frightened. Cool. Isolated and threatened in social situations. Once violence was seen as a public health issue, the conversation changed. We started to talk to offenders and ex-offenders and challenge behaviours and the culture of violence. He's saying he doesn't want to speak to them. They're all bad. We don't want them. They're bad. Lock them up for 50 years. So again, not what he's saying. Giving information about the legal repercussions of violent crime has not proven to be a deterrent. I didn't even know how much this article was going to prove me right. I didn't know how many lines in this thing would. I just knew the general consensus of it wasn't, but that's crazy. Jane Daly from the National Youth Work Agency YouthLink Scotland, who is National Coordinator for No Knives, Better Lives, a programme aiming to raise awareness of the consequences of carrying a knife and which provides information for young people. Daly cites feedback from focus groups of young people at risk of becoming involved in knife crime, which revealed that the potential impact on people's families, particularly on perpetrators, mothers and victims' families, is one of the biggest concerns. Youth work and positive prevention have been key, she says. No Knives, Better Lives launched in 2009 when knife crime was at a high. It supports work in 24 local authorities in Scotland and involves partners including the police, youth workers and schools. What we are promoting, trying to talk to people about and asking them to implement is more positive prevention. How do we help young people develop the capacity to make positive decisions and, in this case, choose never to carry a knife or do something if they know someone else is carrying a knife? A purely justice-driven approach doesn't work. Everything I've been saying to this guy. I just want to remind you that this is just because this is so insane, right? My thing's crashed again, but we're going to try and do something. Is that going to work? No. Wait, let's just keep. I wanted to go back to it. We'll go back to it in a minute. Just to remind you, he shared this. He shared this and said it's proof that he's right. It literally says what I'm saying here. Purely just it doesn't work. You can arrest as many people as you like. You can search as many people as you like. What on earth? You can arrest as many people as you like. You can search as many people as you like. You can throw away the key if you want to. It just won't solve the problem. He shared that article. Are you having a laugh? This guy, how could you be so dumb? Like, he obviously, has he just not read it? But he must have read it to have read that line that shows the one bit that he agreed with. Or he got told up, because he said he got this from doing a TikTok live, right? Maybe he just got told this showed something that he agreed and just shared it. Oh, yeah, it's proved right. He hasn't even read it. I don't know, man. McVie thinks there are 3 things that have made tackling knife crime in Scotland easier than tackling it in London, whereas this year 18 children and teenagers have been killed with knives. The first is that VRU managed to efficiently tackle gang culture, targeting leaders and isolating them from followers. Second, she says Scotland has a different culture of violence. Incidents have tended to be over something more immediate and spear of the moment, often involving an encounter that escalated from an insult and argument, rather than the bloody end of a protracted dispute or connected to criminal activity. Finally, there is the issue of trust with the police, which I've raised already in this. In London, institutional racism creates a barrier, argues McVie. If people see something going wrong, they are less likely to tell the police because they don't trust them. In Scotland, where racial bias has been less of an issue, it's been very different. So that's a quite interesting point. So it shows a very different thing. And someone was saying that to me earlier, like Scotland is not East London or whatever, or Bristol. Do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's an interesting point, that they don't have, they were able to maybe work with the police a little bit more. And even then they said arm's length, like that's a minimal contribution to what's going on here. It's been very different. There is more trust between police and minority communities. Questionable, but anyway, but yeah. It also seems the existence of Scottish Parliament has provided a more accessible polity in which to experiment and innovate. The mantra of the people who drove this was better to apologise later than ask for permission, explains Goodall. So we just did stuff. If we think something's a good idea, we'll just do it. I'm not going to sit around having meetings about it. Politics aside, the scale of the country has also helped. She says there's only 5 million people in Scotland. There's probably 2.5 million across the central belt. The rest are living in the Highlands. That should be a manageable problem. Nobody in Scotland would claim they have cracked the issue of knife crime. McVie points out that the reduction in crime generally in Scotland has not been even, and people remain vulnerable in those communities hardest hit are analysis shows that the general crime drop has mainly been as a result of reducing crime amongst those least likely to be victims in the first place, i.e. one-off victims of property crime. I think we've probably covered this enough, right? I'll read that. Let's see, I'm going to scroll through, but because we've made our point, right? I mean, it's come to the end now anyway. And yeah, you know, we've made the point. Steve Trafford says, sorry, does it say what that plunker asserts? Was just doing some work, so distracted. No, bro. I mean, it said one little bit where they had they did increase stop and search, and they said they did that a little bit, so they added that to it, and they increased sentences up to 13 months, right? Not 5 years, like he's saying. And they said that was part of it in the beginning, and then they later said that stop and search doesn't work, and that only 2%, less than 2% of stop and searches result in finding anything. Yeah, they basically said nothing about what he said. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? He thinks all of this is about crazy telling me stuff, where it's actually just him being crazy. One sec, I'm just fixing the sidebar again. Having way too many problems with that. And now I'm going to get that Akala thing up. Right. So I just want to remind you, guys, this literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Yeah? Let's just highlight that. This literally proves. Yeah? This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. What I just shared there. This. Yeah? A purely justice-driven approach doesn't work. Yeah? This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Yeah? Let's just find a couple more that we already highlighted. Like, no, because I want, that's probably the it was a later one. There was a really good one about this whole section here. Fewer than 2% of stop and searches result in the recovery of a knife. It's hard to profile kids who carry weapons. Yeah? This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Yeah? You're having a laugh, mate. Yeah? You're having a complete laugh. The decision to treat knife crime as a public health issue rather than simply a police matter appears to have underpinned both the direction and support. This literally proves what I've been saying, guys. Lunatic. Yeah, I'm going to get his page off the screen now. I'm going to get that off the screen now. Because Stephen Trafford's saying Akala. So I'm going to get Akala up on the screen. And yeah, let's hear Akala say it, man. Because he always breaks this down best. I'm keeping it real. And this is him, this is actually called Rapper Akala on linking knife crime to race. Yeah, so he's going to... I wasn't even linking it to race and all that. We've done that already. Do you know what I'm saying? He's going to really give the breakdown of like how this impacts racially. 1 second. Why is that not coming out? Why is that not coming out, mate? Alright, sorted.
We get told time and again, look, it's all very well you middle-class white people telling us what the problem is, right? You're not middle-class and you're not white. What is the problem and how do we deal with this?
Well, as I've said many times before, the social indicators, I don't say causes, because obviously there's still an element of personal responsibility. The social indicators for violent crime among young working-class street gangs have remained consistent for 200 years. Relative poverty, masculinity, exposure to domestic violence, lack of education. So the solutions are fairly obvious in many ways. Glasgow.
And we've got to look at how, if we want to look at, this was however many years ago, not super years ago, but boom. When he's saying it's still rising, that knife crime's still rising, yeah, then we have to look at what kind of poverty has increased in that time.
So the solutions are fairly obvious in many ways. Glasgow, which was once dubbed the most violent city in Europe, still has a higher murder rate than London. But when we look at serious youth violence, which is my preferred term, if journalists want to be taken more seriously, they should use the term serious youth violence, because knife crime has become a sort of racial buzzword at the moment. Glasgow has seen a dramatic reduction in serious youth violence, to the point that none of the murders of teenagers that occurred in 2017 occurred in Scotland. What approaches did they take in Glasgow? They took a public health approach, they took an interagency approach, they took an approach that saw violence in a holistic way. They saw the link between domestic violence and violence in the street. They saw the link between violence in society in general and violence in the street. They looked at early interventions, basically, coming into young people's lives and families' lives as early as possible and diverting them away from crime. Good education, good jobs, counselling. That was so dramatically effective. So the fact that there's all this hand-wringing and suggestion that an entirely different set of policies should be suggested for London, maybe Birmingham and Manchester.
So let me put this to you.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting,
Yeah.
your view of this. And what I would say to you is this.
What he's suggesting an entirely different thing should be done, and then he's sharing the article, not realising that it doesn't say that.
It looks like in London
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
this is predominantly a problem of young black teenage boys
Yeah.
who are members almost exclusively of gangs attacking each other, so that the perpetrators and the victims appear to be almost exclusively young black men. Do you think there is a racial element to that in terms of any cultural issues, racial issues? Or do you think it's the same problem they had in Glasgow, where they were white, but actually the race part of this is something that we might look at the statistics and think it's a black problem when it's not?
Okay, so there are several regions of the country, let's just look at the facts, that have higher murder rates than London does. Clearly, throughout human history, black people have not had anything remotely resembling a monopoly on violence. Over the last few years, some of the most horrendous knife attacks, both the victims and the perpetrators, have been white, and they've not been from London, including a 13-year-old girl stabbed to death in Southampton, a 16-year-old stabbed to death in Dinnington, a 7-year-old girl stabbed to death in York, a 5-year-old stabbed to death by its own mother in Oxfordshire. When both the perpetrator and the victims are white, race suddenly becomes unimportant. There is one limited sense in which race may be important. You could argue that only a very particular demographic of young black boys, only at a very particular stage in their lives, feel a degree of psychological self-hatred or contempt for themselves that they project onto other people who most remind them of themselves. However, the black-on-black violence paradigm, so-called, is never used in that way as a kind of psychological self-hatred model. It's used to give the public essentially the ridiculous impression that black school teachers, black doctors, black lawyers, black Premier League footballers, my grandmother, David Adjaye, Oswald Boateng, are all sort of an equal risk of violent crime. And
Well, it reminds
Exactly. I'm saying, so when we're talking about, we're saying on the other episode that when Stop and Search disproportionately targets young black boys, young black men, that they're 40 times more likely to be stopped. The vast majority of them are not going to be carrying knives. They're going to be regular guys going to school, going to work, living their lives. And it's going to impact them very negatively and create some of this self-hatred he's talking about.
Reminds me a little bit. I mean, it's different, but it's interwoven slightly into what happened in New Zealand, where you have this white supremacist committing an act of horror. Had he been an ISIS terrorist, the immediate reaction from many people would have been, this is a Muslim problem.
Yeah.
Because he's a white supremacist,
Yeah.
I've not heard people say, this is a white person problem.
Well, precisely. We have enough trouble getting what I'm going to call the racial virtue signalling right-wing press to call white supremacy.
So he's been using that term for a while. Hold up. Let me fix my thing. Fix my camera quickly, but yeah, that gassed me when he said the virtue signalling right wing on the other video that I was when it was the clip from his book. So I hate this word virtue signalling, innit? Because people say it to me from this side, but now I've never really seen it used in a context that I obviously agree with. But yeah, spot on, mate.
Had he been an ISIS terrorist, the immediate reaction would be, this is a Muslim supremacist.
Yeah.
I've not heard people say, this is a white person problem.
Well, precisely. We have enough trouble getting what I'm going to call the racial virtue signalling right-wing press to call white supremacist terrorists by their proper name, let alone to force all white people to explain the bad actions of all other white people. For example, you will never be called upon to explain that not all middle-aged white men are paedophiles, despite the fact that hundreds, maybe thousands of them are convicted of sex offences every year, because it's self-evident that not all middle-aged white men are paedophiles.
I think it's a completely valid point. I do.
Let's look at it in the other sense.
This is why Carlo is so good at this, yeah? I'm saying, like, and he's so good at you know, he's got the knowledge, he's got the like way of articulating it, because Piers Morgan's an arsehole. He sits there and bullies people and argues against these points all the time. But when he's sitting with a Carla, he don't want none of that smoke. Even when he's sitting with Loki, we're talking recent issues, he don't want none of that smoke.
Young black boys overachieve.
Hold up,
Is
pull up,
race
this is
offered as-
important.
Valid point. I do.
Let's look at it in the other sense. Where young black boys overachieve, is race offered as an explanatory factor? For example, British, Ghanaian and Nigerian boys on free school meals, so the poorest sector, academically outperform and are more likely to go to university than similarly poor white, mixed race and black English kids whose grandparents came from the Caribbean. The 4 youngest children in Britain to ever take GCSEs are all black. Romari Wilfred, a young black boy from East London, has a higher IQ than Einstein. Young black men are more disproportionately represented in professional football than any other area of British life, with all of the consequences and implications that has for their contribution to the tax base, etc. So it's almost as if a black person does something negative, the entire so-called black community is to blame. Black person does something positive and they suddenly regain their humanity and their right to be viewed as an individual. What I'm saying is I'm not just talking about what I read in sociology books, I'm talking about what I saw in my real life.
But here's a tough question for you.
Last point about London, sorry.
Yes, yeah.
In the last 2 years, it's still important to remember that the overwhelming majority of murders have not been committed by teenage black boys.
Right,
So for example, in 2017, there were 117 or 16 murders, 21 of which were of teenage black boys. In 2018, there were 134, 24 were of teenagers in general. So it's also
So the
important to keep
stats
that.
can be twisted any way you
Precisely.
like. However,
All right, let me just touch on that just to say, as far as Officer Wayne Webster, you know, he is at least, he's trying to use the argument, he might have seen some of this, to say, oh, it's mostly white boys that are committing this crime anyway, mostly white kids, to say it's not racial to him, do you know what I'm saying? But he has been pointing out all this stuff that actually the police action will disproportionately target black boys, and he doesn't care about it, do you know what I'm saying? So he's all in this I don't see race kind of angle at the end of the day. I don't know how much of this video continues to address what was going on in Scotland. I know he kind of gave that context in the beginning, that might be it, but I still want to do this whole reaction on its own, for its own merit anyway.
however, let me throw this back at you.
Yeah.
Notwithstanding all that, and I think it's fascinating what you've been saying. Notwithstanding all that, there is no doubt that right now the knife crime element of murder in London is predominantly young black teenage boys.
Yeah.
And
also
so my question for you is there any racial or cultural element to what is going on relating to knife crime in young black teenage boys?
Listen to what you've just said. When you think that blackness is the most important thing to emphasise about these young men, almost half of the young people in prison in Britain, regardless of ethnicity, were in care as children. Almost half of young people in prison in Britain were expelled from school as children. When we offer blackness as an explanatory factor, as if we don't need to know anything else.
Is it irrelevant, though, Carla?
No.
Is it irrelevant?
As I said at the top of the programme, or a couple of minutes ago, in the one limited sense in which it may be relevant, i.e. the idea of a kind of particular psychological self-hatred that affects only a very particular group of young black boys and men, and then only at a very particular stage in their life.
And what is that? Explore that for a moment.
So I'm saying there is an internalized racism, essentially. And you hear this in some rap music in some senses, you see it in some people's behaviours, where basically contempt for black life, only a very particular group of young black boys at a very particular stage
react against it.
Perhaps internalise that. But we never use it in that way because that would mean a wider dialogue about contempt for black life in general. Young parents in Ghana...
Listen, man, Carlo's a G, innit? Just, you know what I'm saying? He's tried to get him and go, yeah, he's trying to get him to say, is like it being a black issue something we need to address? And you know what I'm saying, he's just got the actual answer for him.
Ghana, which happens to be one of the most peaceful countries in the world, despite being one of the most poorest, are not worried about their kids getting stabbed to death on the way to school. No. So clearly this is something specific, if we're talking about that psychological self-hatred element, to Britain and the United States and other places.
Carla, can I ask, because it was the particular point that Alex had made his really important intervention on, prison sentences and increased police presence and numbers. What effect might they have?
On reducing crime in the long term, virtually zero. A good friend of mine, Dr. Rose Dreisinger, did a study all around the world where she looked at prison systems and incarceration all around the world. She found not one country in which tougher sentences in and of themselves did anything to reduce. Not one country.
And Wayne Webster, Officer Wayne Webster, will not watch this. Do you know what I'm saying? Mad blur issues, but he will not watch this. He will refuse to watch this in order to continue his campaign of hatred, really. Do you know what I'm saying? He will refuse to watch this. Because he can't take this. You know what I'm saying? He can't take being proven wrong.
crime. In fact, in many ways, we can just look across the water to the United States. They may make it worse for reasons that are entirely obvious. We already have the largest prison population in the whole of Western Europe.
I guess we don't hear.
Oh, look at that. Look at it chopped there as well. I wonder how much more to it there was that he actually said there on the day.
This side of the coin enough. And it's very easy for us to sit here, look at a bunch of statistics and think that's the problem.
Well, I think there's a number of reasons for that. I myself was the beneficiary of a Pan-African Saturday school tradition. So in post-war Britain, there were a whole tradition of essentially black Saturday schools, black-on-black education, if you will. And I was a beneficiary of that. Voices from that community and from that tradition have very rarely been heard. But coming back to the point you were making about sentencing, let's remember we've got a couple of centuries of this type of violent youth crime in predominantly white communities in Britain. What has led to reductions and solutions? At the turn of the 20th century in Manchester, it was intervention by church groups, it was intervention by community groups, it was ameliorative approaches, essentially. In Glasgow, the same thing has occurred recently in the last few years, yet we're being suggested the exact opposite policies that have been effective in British history and white communities, both at the turn of the 20th century in Glasgow, in
And that's what I'm saying. So he's just using the example there, yeah? They literally just asked him, is tougher sentencing the answer? And he literally just pulled up the Glasgow example and said, why are they suggesting tougher sentencing as the answer when it's literally been proven that the exact opposite is what works? But this guy thinks sharing that on his wall proves him right. Literal facepalm, like, huh?
Manchester, and recently in Glasgow, we should pursue exact opposite policies in London.
What would you say to a young black teenage boy in London right now who might be wandering around carrying a knife for self-protective reasons, whatever the reason may be, very specifically? Well, what would you say to them?
It wouldn't be just to young black boys. As I said, it could be in Greater Manchester, it could be in Glasgow, it could be anywhere. There are a number of solutions. And I think mandatory self-defence in schools could be one of the solutions. Not because you teach anyone to face down people carrying knives, shoot to run away with someone's carrying a knife. However, when you practice self-defence, it gives you a certain self-confidence. I work in schools a lot, and I see essentially good boys carrying knives out of fear. So I think that can be one of the solutions. I think support for the scores of already existing community groups that exist in the communities we talk a lot about, but not to. I think incentivising schools to... You
see that? Communities we talk about and not to, yeah? This Officer Wayne here has told us, I don't give a fuck about them. So he doesn't want to talk to them. He wants to talk about them to police and to the House of Lords. It's a joke.
Solutions, I think support for the scores of already existing community groups that exist in the communities we talk a lot about, but not to. I think incentivising schools to reduce
community
expulsions.
groups.
We know that expulsion from school, that PRU trajectory is basically the beginning of the former head.
The exclusion then leads to
the former head of the prison service, Martin Neri, said when the 13,000 kids we expel from school, we may as well give them the prison sentence then and there. I'm not saying it's that simple. However, we could incentivise schools to reduce expulsions, looking at what the cost of the average expelled child costs the British taxpayer and spending that money to keep people in school. So there's a whole load of potential solutions beyond just saying to young people, hey, put down your knives. That
or we'll send you to prison.
Carla, we could talk to you a lot more about this. It's fascinating. I appreciate you coming on, giving us a very different side to this argument and an important side to the argument that should be taken seriously. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, great to see you. Thank you so much. You have a book, don't you? And you're...
I do, yeah.
Go on, the book was out.
Do you want to tell us what it is?
The only guest who's not been trying to plug something. So now's your chance.
It's basically a post-war social history of Britain told through my eyes. It's called Natives, Race and Class in the Ruins of Empire.
Yeah, man. And as kind of advised by Stephen Trafford in the comments, I'm doing the audiobook, but I've still only done one chapter of it. Because I do that when I go on long drives, audiobooks, or when I'm in the gym. And I only made it to the gym once this week, which is slack. Next week I'm gonna make it every day, and then I'll get a lot more through it. Hold on, my throat is a bit yeah. Anyway, Stephen Trafford. This is just one of the many reasons why Carla is the GOAT. KRS-One a close second. These brothers educate first, entertain second. KRS-One, I got an issue with. Because KRS-One support has given blind support for Bambaataa on his sex abuse claims and said that because he helped create hip-hop that we should forgive him. Not forgive him, but he should be infallible and basically unquestionable, which I have a very big issue with. And KRS-One doubled down on that a number of times when pulled up about it in interviews. KRS-One is written off to me, and I ended up in a photo with him in the background because I was at an event, outside an event he was performing at, and I didn't go in intentionally because I was like, I'm not going into a KRS-One event right now. Steve Trafford said he's a brilliant mind. Flip, play, thieves, banquet. That was in response to Fox E. Said Stephen Trafford. I can hear why. Hold up. What I'm saying though, I've just been covering this Wayne Webster, Officer Wayne issue the whole time. And yeah, Stephen Trafford, yeah, that is sad to hear. Although obviously KRS-One's a legend. I know he focuses on education. I'm sure there's things that can be learned from him, but one day I am going to do an episode probably on that whole Bambaataa thing. At one point, Skinny Man wanted me to help him do a documentary on it. But I will one day probably play those KRS videos and do reactions to them because I think they need talking about. But yeah. Wayne Webster, anyway, I think we've covered it. We've very much covered it to a long extent. I don't know how long I've been here, but I've played all his videos. I'm going to have to edit this down to a bit of a more concise video of what we've covered today. But, I mean, there's loads more Akala videos. There's like Akala, let's see how long this is though. Another 5 minutes. Akala on how to tackle knife crime. Gosh, do you know what? I'm going to leave it because he's done one, but there's loads of videos of Akala talking about knife crime. And I think, these kind of conversations are going to continue. They're going to continue on my platform beyond talking about Wayne Webster. I think I need to get on some people who are addressing knife crime in communities, doing community work, and talk to them about their solutions. I want to get Akala on one day, of course, but I wouldn't do it through here just on a live. I'd have to do that sitting in a room. And that would be a bigger podcast. Like we've approached trying to do that a few times. He did say he'd do it once, but yeah. One of my life themes is you must learn with Skinny Man. Yeah. Skinny Man and MCD. Yeah, man, legendary shit. If you haven't already, also listen to his interview with James O'Brien. Akala with James O'Brien, yeah. I will look at that, but right, I've got a couple other things I wanted to touch on today because I thought now that I'm doing this live, just okay, yeah, Carla, yeah, I'll look into that, man. Because there's a couple other things I wanted to do. I wanted to react to the Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole beef. I guess that won't take long. I could just quickly do that now, but I wanted to do a reaction to this Amber Heard podcast. On my Facebook page, my kind of artist page, I was talking about the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial a lot while it was going on. I was very much kind of raising how kind of unequal it was that she would be judged for certain things that he's not judged for, etc., and how it was very, very imbalanced how it was portrayed in the media and how the evidence was clearly edited in the court to sit in his favour. So someone's made a podcast about that, exposing the evidence that was left out and stuff like that. So it's a half-hour episode, but I want to do a whole reaction to it. I think I may do it tonight. So whoever stays here with me, all good. Whoever doesn't. I know I'm going to be riding it through quite a bit. But before doing that, I think, yeah. Stephen Trafford said, Mayor, everyone covers US rap. Not interested in that, I guess he's saying. Yeah, I guess they do. I haven't listened to them. Songs, so I was just gonna give them, a live reaction. But I don't actually care about it that much. Myself either. But also what else I'm gonna do here is not gonna be rap related, because this SJW show, that was rap related because it had Nkala in it, and the other guy I'm responding to is a rapper, even though he's an unknown one. This is more for social issues. Do you know what though? I might just go straight into this then. And you can stay with me for as much as you feel. And he said, although Doomsday, Fox E said Amber's a raging narcissist. Well, I think the whole world's full of narcissists, but I'll say this, I'm team Amber Heard, 100%. Amber Heard was shamed in a way that nobody else gets shamed publicly for things that she's done, that men don't get shamed for. She didn't do much wrong in any of the way she handled her case, didn't do much narcissistic in public really, and got labelled as that basically because she's a woman. Johnny Depp did horrifically disgusting things that was revealed in the trial. He did ridiculously disgusting things in how he treated her in public, and the entire trial was basically Johnny Depp not being able to handle that his wife had left him, so he used his privilege and power to get the entire world to bully his ex-wife. That's literally what happened in that trial. And that doesn't mean she's innocent and not a narcissist, that's for sure, because I think most people are narcissists, so that doesn't come out of that. But what she's done publicly in this trial isn't that. She's just stood there and said, and actually she hasn't done much publicly at all. She's never actually spoke much publicly about him or anything, never tried to get attention for it, never tried to make a trial, never took him to court, never. He took her to court, he took the son to court. All of it was done by him. She hasn't actually done anything in any of it. Stephen Trafford said, I'm here for the music, but I support the politics and social awareness. I'm supporting when I can. Foxy said, okay, your opinion is valid. Yeah. And that's just my opinion, innit? And like I say, well, it's more than my opinion because I feel like I will prove it. I haven't watched this interview, right? I haven't seen this podcast, yeah? I'm going to put it on the screen. Episode 1, Missing Evidence. It's called Who's Trolled Amber, right? And it is by, let's look at who it's by. So it's by a channel called Tortoise. Let's just read the description. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard was a celebrity trial of the century. He won, she lost, but was Amber Heard the target of an organised trolling campaign? A former spy puts Alexei reluctantly on trial, but he quickly discovers this is much more than a story of celebrities at war. This is Who Trolled Amber, a new podcast series about how our own thoughts and opinions can be moulded without us even realising. Who Trolled Amber is the latest series in Tortoise Investigates, the home of Tortoise's award-winning Investigate series. So yeah, this is like an investigation of how our brains may have been controlled to form certain opinions about Amber Heard. And trust me, like I often get accused of always taking the women's side and these kind of things, like, or having a bias towards women's rights and stuff like that. And I've got other friends who usually agree with me, usually are on my side with this kind of thing, and they were like, I usually agree with you, but not on this one. Like, Amber Heard, you got it wrong with this one. And then they'd pull out the examples, and this was before the trial. And they pull out some of these things in the evidence here. And I know certain things where I was like, nah, you're wrong. And I'd explain it to them. But I'm sure this is going to show me a lot that I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I've also, I've got a lot of people involved in supporting Amber Heard on my Facebook. And I've spoken to them about doing a live where they come on and speak. And they know they'll get all the papers out because they've read through the actual, both trials, the English trial and the American trial. And I hadn't worked out how to arrange that because I couldn't get guests on here, but I got guests on here on the last show, so I'm going to do that soon. But I think I should do some of these episodes first. So this is actually quite long, a video. I don't know if I'm going to do all of it right now, but we'll give it a go, alright?
Tortoise.
Just a warning before we start. This series contains strong language and descriptions of violence.
There was a moment where I got up one day and I got on social media, I got on Twitter, and I just noticed that my feed was just absolutely overrun with content.
This story starts with a spy. Well, a former spy.
And I didn't have a whole lot of interest in learning much more about it than what I'd seen in the headlines. Like, I'm not particularly interested in celebrity culture stuff.
Someone who spends a lot of time online.
And so I started to try to excise that content from my timeline. And it became apparent fairly quickly, within a couple of days, because I could feel myself getting frustrated, that was not working, which is unusual. I'm actively seeking to not see this stuff, and it is still filling up my feed. And, being a career investigator, my brain kind of went, oh, there's something going on here.
Daniel Mackey used to work for the Canadian government. I can't really go into more detail than that, but he specialises in something called open source intelligence. That means he pieces together clues on the internet to track down bad guys. He's basically an online detective. Daniel's gone private now. He works for this big accounting group, but he still wants to use his powers for good.
This is mad. I've already listened to podcast shows like this where it's like a whole kind of production and music and all of this kind of stuff going on. Alright, so we're setting the stage. He's a spy, and he hasn't said even Amber Heard content he was seeing, but he was seeing a lot of content on the internet about something, and he couldn't avoid it even as much as he tried.
So, a bit like a lawyer who takes on some cases free of charge, Daniel helps out a few lucky journalists like me.
I think we've spoken more than a dozen times, and this is the first time that I've actually seen you in the flesh.
Really? You've never seen my face?
I don't think I've ever seen your face.
By 2023, we'd worked together on several stories, mostly involving internet hoaxes or conspiracies. When he's interested in a story, Daniel goes into overdrive. He'll text me in the middle of the night, or he'll leave me these long voicemails.
.uk. So I checked to see if there's anything else linked to that. When I ran it through a different tool that I have, I found a Skype profile that was registered to that email address using...
Daniel is an expert at navigating the dark corners of the internet. He's seen it all. That is until the spring of 2022, when...
I feel like, obviously I'm just looking at this as the missing evidence is going to prove all of this about her thing, but the title, Who Trolled Amber, and now that I'm realising it's about a spy, we might be quite shocked by what it's going to reveal. Is this going to reveal that there was some literally behind the scenes orchestrated campaign run to kind of destroy her in the media? Because that would be very interesting. And it's already been proven that a lot of the content that was against her was run by bots.
Something happens which takes him by surprise.
I spent a period of time investigating disinformation campaigns, so foreign influence operations, information warfare stuff. This was more akin to that, what I was witnessing.
Information warfare? Daniel is interested enough that he talks to his contacts inside the intelligence community.
I said, hey, you guys are also watchers of this type of stuff. Are you seeing this too? And all of them had the same reaction as me. They went, yeah, it's really weird. Your Sherlock Holmes signal kind of goes off and you're like, what the hell's going on here?
A few months later, he calls me and he tells me what he's noticed about a certain story and how it played out online.
Hundreds of miles away from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, this high-profile case will be right here in Fairfax County.
The trial of Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard is a global phenomenon.
From real-life political drama to real-life Hollywood drama, Johnny Depp versus his ex-wife, Amber
Depp
Heard.
is suing Heard in a $50 million defamation suit based on a Washington Post op-ed.
Depp sued Heard, yeah?
The biggest court case since O.J. Simpson was accused of murdering his wife back in 1995, almost 3 decades ago.
She is accused of defaming her one-time husband and lover. He is accused of being so in the grip of drink and drugs that he would become like a monster consumed by rage and violence.
For 7 weeks over the spring of 2022, this thing is everywhere.
This has moved away from a news story or a lawsuit, and it's transformed into a cultural moment.
It just dominates everything.
Both COVID and inflation are on the rise, and there's a war in Ukraine. But Americans are much more interested in talking about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
And I remember thinking, no thanks. I was...
Comment says, Meghan Markle attempts this on Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Sad. What do you mean she attempts this? She attempts... Who's Catherine, the Princess of Wales? Is that who I'm not that up on who all the royals are, or whatever. Is that who she accuses of racism, or whatever? I mean, Meghan Markle, without any shadow of a doubt, is the victim of what Amber is the victim of. Like, she's the victim of a complete media campaign to brainwash us into hating her when she hasn't really done anything wrong to anyone. So I don't know. I don't really know what that's about.
Working on another story at the time, so I didn't really know much about the case. But my general reaction to it was, this is a celebrity story. Not that interesting. But for Daniel, something about the online coverage of the case intrigued him. Daniel is a liberal. He's the sort of person who'd naturally support someone like Amber Heard, a woman who claims she's a victim of abuse. He also knows how social media algorithms work, how they identify what you're interested in and then serve you similar content which they think you'll like. If the internet's echo chamber was working properly, Daniel would expect to see at least some pro-Amber Heard content on his social media feeds. But what he actually saw was the exact opposite. Almost everything was trashing Amber and promoting Depp, a stream of misogyny and hate directed towards her.
Madness. My car's actually crashed again. I'm just going to do something to try and fix it. I'm trying to do something else. I'm trying to work out if I can fix it in a more, in an easier way. Nope, that didn't fix it. Yeah, so he's saying you would usually see something on the other side, right? And with this, for whatever, like, for a strange reason, you literally saw nothing on her side, which is strange as hell. Didn't mean to do that. Meant to fix this one. Alright, let's continue.
Things that I think actively damaged some of the progress that the Me Too movement made, for example. Really quite uncomfortable stuff with respect to Heard in particular.
The Me Too movement changed global conversations about sexual assault and domestic violence. It gave women who were abused a voice and a platform to tell their stories for the first time. But Amber didn't get sympathy. She got vitriol.
The queen of domestic violence, claiming that she's a victim of violence, is the biggest joke.
What other options does a violent, predatory narcissist have when they are desperate to control their victim?
Your voice is gone, Amber Heard. Die, bitch.
The scale of the attacks was staggering. Between 2016 and 2022, more than 800,000 tweets were posted with the hashtag Amber Heard is an abuser.
800,000. You know what I'm saying? This is a big campaign by a big multi-millionaire, powerful man.
Only 15,000 tweets used the hashtag Johnny Depp is an abuser, even though she was the one accusing him of abuse.
And you see that? They act like, yeah, all these people that are pro-Depp, yeah, they act like she was the one who cancelled him in the beginning and blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? But from the beginning, she was getting the hate from early on.
And that wasn't all. Tens of thousands of posts across social media called Amber a gold digger, a whore, and much worse.
I'm coming for you when you get out of court.
A lot of that hate came from real people. Johnny Depp has some really devoted fans, and they do not like Amber Heard.
Who wants to join me in my expedition to brutally murder Amber Heard?
But
hear that? Murder threats. Actual murder threats.
Daniel also noticed that many of the online attacks came from accounts that seemed less than human. Accounts with odd names, which seemed to be acting in a coordinated way, as if someone was controlling their movements, like the conductor of a giant orchestra.
We don't want pirates without Johnny
Amber Heard
Depp.
is an abuser, big fat white nasty smelling fat bitch.
Just to play devil's advocate, what kind of chance do you think that everything actually was organic in this case, or at least
I would say there's a 0.1% chance that was
zero.
0.1% chance that was all organic. There's absolutely, can I swear? There is no fucking way that was all organic. There's no fucking way. I would bet you $1 million. I would bet you $1 million.
Just to be clear, Daniel thinks that someone deliberately set out to trash Amber's reputation online. Either by buying bots, which are automated accounts that in this case could have pumped out thousands.
And it's as simple as that. That was his plan. From the beginning, he was like, right, I've been accused of this. And remember, she didn't even really come out hard at him or nothing. So he's really done this to himself. She didn't come out hard, but he was like, right, I've been, people are saying I may have done this and this. So I'm going to literally destroy her reputation in order to turn them all around. And he literally, that just shows how much of a misogynist world we live in. He was able to do it to a seriously excessive extent.
Thousands of anti-Amber messages or hashtags, or by employing real people, internet trolls, who could have pretended to be Johnny Depp fans online. For me, these possibilities were interesting. But to be honest, even after talking to Daniel, I still had a nagging feeling. Would it be that big a deal if a PR company had bought a bunch of bots to defend a famous actor?
Yes.
And don't we know already that rich people sometimes play dirty? But then I started speaking to people about the Depp case, including some of my friends. And I was shocked by how many of them had a negative opinion of Amber Heard without really being able to explain why. They all said
literally what I said at the beginning of this thing, right? My own brethren, and I'll sit there and have the argument with them, and like they'll still push it. They'll give their reason. I'll prove their reason wrong. They'll give their quote. I'll find the actual full quote and give the context and everything, and then they'll just go, "Oh yeah, but," and have no end to their sentence.
Said something like, "I didn't watch the trial, but isn't Amber a bit crazy?" Or, "Wasn't there violence on both sides?" Or, "I reckon that Johnny was the real victim." And that really did trouble me. Because if it's possible for sensible people to end up hating a person without really knowing why, if it's possible for someone with a vested interest to plant opinions in people's heads simply by serving them up enough content, then that type of manipulation isn't just a celebrity issue. It's much more serious than that. If your opinions on Amber Heard can be artificially swayed, then why not your opinions about a politician, a business, or even a war?
And if we're going to watch the documentary about Cambridge Analytica and all of that, we already know this has been done. You know what I'm saying? This has been done. It is happening right now over the war in Israel and Palestine. It is happening. Yeah, we are being controlled in this way. It was happening in Trump's run for president. It's happened in the Conservative run for government here, the Brexit. Like, they are controlling us. It's very, like, there's numbers of times it's been broken down and proven. And it's mad because it's like the people who even know that, who think I'm awake to everything that's going on, will still be the people who come here and comment and go, "Oh, Amber Heard's a wrong one," not realizing they've been told to think like that.
Is your perception of reality being altered without you even knowing it?
There are many things we can say about this very toxic industry that is really
appear to exhibit what I would say are indications that there have been a rented bot network or a for-hire.
It's 100% inauthentic. I have no doubts about that.
I received DMs on Twitter that basically said, "We know where you live, we know where you are, and we're going to come find you, and we're going to hurt you."
I felt like I was living the Truman Show.
Got a comment from Steve Trefford. "I don't hate them. I'm ambivalent. Most people are. When we really explore people's feelings, they are just caught up in the drama and regurgitating opinions of their influencers." Who do you mean? Who you don't hate? Who? I'm not sure if you don't hate Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, celebrities, or you don't hate. I don't know. Who do you mean?
Because I thought at any time my story and my work would be revealed.
I'm Alexi Mostras, and from Tortoise, this is Who Trolled Amber.
Right.
Episode 1.
Oh look, my side car's crashed again already. I can't stand when it's crashed because That means I can't see how long into the video we are, which stresses me out a bit. He's saying he don't hate either Johnny or Amber. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate either of them, but from me following the trial, I do take an issue with Johnny because if this breaks down what I think is going to break down, and the fact that he hired a company to literally abuse her on the internet, give her death threats and all of that, like, and it shows how he used male power in that way to literally win over the world and turn them. She's had to move out of the country. Like, what she's experienced is horrific. She's experienced one of the biggest examples of like mass online abuse in history. Like, it's crazy what she's gone through, and they haven't proven that she's done anything wrong to the extent to warrant it at all. They definitely haven't proven anything like that. Yeah, they've proven a couple things. Yeah, she's not perfect, but there's no perfect victim either, right? Neither of them are perfect, as a lot of people have said, right? But don't get me wrong, I don't hate Johnny Depp. I think Johnny Depp has never taken accountability for his actions, and Amber Heard has been made to take accountability for what her part was 100-fold, 1,000-fold compared to what it actually was. And it's too much what she's actually had to go through, and he's pretty much got away with it and been celebrated as a hero. Steve said Donald Trump made it to president. I'm not surprised Johnny is just as villainous. Yeah, I mean, I'm not that surprised either, and I bet they probably like each other quite a bit. Do you know what I mean? Just pulling this back up again. I'm gonna have to Google why this happens, man. It winds me up. But
missing evidence.
I only paused that to say, whoa, that whole thing was just the intro. That was just setting the stage. Now we're actually going to start the episode. All right, cool. Yeah, I mean, I was very interested in this case. I was going to just listen to this podcast. I just wanted to hear it. And I thought, you know what? I think it's like 6 episodes. So obviously I'm going to do I'm just going to do one every now and then. Do you know what I mean? I might just come on live a few times and only do this, like quickly just do an episode, and that'll be the end of the live kind of thing. Or I might just do one each episode, I don't know.
I received death and rape threats. I received threats and comments saying, like Amber, I have a punchable face. All kinds of awful things.
It's a cold, wet day in central London, and
I'm assuming that's going to be someone who's her supporter, yeah? Because remember, I was a big Amber Heard supporter during the trial. I received that. I received death threats. I received threats of, I hope you die, I hope your family and your children die, like all of that. It was crazy, bro. Like I'm saying, like honestly crazy. The hate that I got for even just showing evidence, like crazy.
I'm with my producer, Xavier. We've gone to see someone who knows Amber Heard well.
My name's Jennifer Robinson. I'm a barrister at Doughty Street Chambers, and I was counselled for Amber Heard in relation to the UK defamation proceedings.
Okay,
Jen is a kind of superstar media lawyer. She's the longtime barrister of Julian Assange, the WikiLeaks founder, and she's represented the UN and other major organisations. Between 2018 and 2020, she worked very closely with Amber, collecting evidence about Johnny Depp's abusive behaviour. But Jen didn't represent Amber in the US trial, the huge media event that took place in Virginia in 2022. She represented her in London in an earlier trial 2 years before.
Where Johnny Depp was found guilty, on 12 of 14 counts of domestic violence. That is still proven. Like, that's still proven in court. Those things have not been overturned. The US trial didn't prove any of it not to be true. Like, none of that happened. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's people, these stupid people who follow trials through social media think, oh, that means that's been proven. That means that's been... No, that's not how the law works. Your little ego and opinion of what you want it to be and your opinion of wanting to bully someone doesn't actually work and actually amount to that.
When I first spoke with Amber, it was in the context of the fact that Johnny Depp had sued for defamation here in the United Kingdom.
If you're not familiar with the case, don't worry. The background is simple. When Amber Heard and Johnny Depp get married in 2015, they seem like the ultimate Hollywood power couple. Despite well-known drug and alcohol issues, Depp is still one of Hollywood's most famous names, the star of Donnie Brasco, Edward Scissorhands, and the Pirates of the Caribbean.
There are many pirates in rock and roll, you know.
Amber is pretty hot property too. She's about to star in Aquaman, a huge blockbuster that will take more than $1 billion at the box office.
She's a superhero in her own right. She's super strong.
But their marriage is a disaster. Away from the cameras, it disintegrates almost immediately. The couple divorce just 15 months after the wedding. At the time of their divorce, Amber is granted a restraining order against Depp. She alleges that Depp has been violent against her, but the pair seem to want to move on.
She alleges to police, right, and authorities. She did not allege this publicly, just to be clear. She took out a restraining order and alleged it to police to get that restraining order. So that's when the abuse towards her started. For her taking that restraining order and looking for protection for what she claimed was going on at the time, that is when abuse publicly started against her.
They settle their divorce and they release a joint statement saying,
"Our relationship was intensely passionate and at times volatile, but always bound by love."
Fast forward to April 2018, and The Sun, a British tabloid newspaper, publishes an article about the new Fantastic Beasts movie, which is going to star Johnny Depp. The piece criticises J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author and Fantastic Beasts creator, for casting Depp in the movie.
And let's just be real, she's been caught a lot of heat for her transphobia and all that. She's very right-wing, so yeah, she was fine with the fact she's fine with casting someone who's been known as being an abuser and a violent husband is no surprise to anybody.
The paper says that there's overwhelming evidence that Depp has been violent towards Amber. It explicitly calls him a wife-beater.
But let's just say something really important here, just so we know we're not dealing with bias. Fuck the Sun newspaper. Do you know what I'm saying? And we do not expect that they had any honest values in why they were doing that. The Sun is a horrible newspaper that in the UK we do not respect and do not love. And that's why it's actually interesting that the Sun beat him, because the Sun lose court cases all the time. The Sun don't even try to be on the right side of things.
Depp sues the newspaper almost immediately, and he brings the case in London, where The Sun is published and where libel rules are notoriously weighed in favour of claimants like him.
Yeah, see?
Under English law, it's up to The Sun to prove, on the balance of probability, that Depp has been violent. It's a big ask. And Amber's not a defendant in the British case. It's Depp versus The Sun, not Depp versus Heard. She doesn't have to give evidence, and she doesn't want to either.
She never wanted to relive what happened in her relationship. She had to go on the stand and talk about what she describes as the most traumatic incidents in her life, not just in front of a judge and in front of Mr. Depp himself and his legal team, but in front of the world's media.
But Jen knows that if Amber doesn't turn up and The Sun loses, then Depp can forever claim that he's not an abuser and that the trial proves it. So she flies to London.
The first day of trial, Amber was really nervous. You can only try to imagine what it would be like to be in her shoes, but this was the first time she was going.
This is very interesting to just hear, because, you know, I followed the second trial a lot. I know a lot of stuff about the first trial from conversations that go on, looking certain things up, but I haven't really looked at a timeline of where she was at and what she did. So they've done a good job here. You know what I'm saying? They've gone and speak to people to show how that happened.
To see Mr. Depp in person.
Sorry, and it's just, I want to fix my sidecar again. It's crashing non-stop because I want to pull this up a little bit. Actually, I've got a way of pulling it up here. Excellent. I can pull it up from here. So, yeah, it just kind of shows that she she wasn't the one trying to be public about this. Everyone goes on about how she wanted to be this face of domestic violence and stuff like that. She didn't want to. She was trying to keep things private.
Talk about what she describes as the most traumatic.
The newspaper almost immediately, and he brings the case in London, where The Sun is published and where libel rules are notoriously weighed in favour of claimants like him. Under English law, it's up to The Sun to prove, on the balance of probability, that Depp has been violent. It's a big ask. And Amber's not a defendant in the British case. It's Depp versus The Sun, not Depp versus Heard. She doesn't have to give evidence, and she doesn't want to either.
She never wanted to relive what happened in her relationship. She had to go on the stand and talk about what she describes as the most traumatic incidents in her life, not just in front of a judge and in front of Mr. Depp himself and his legal team, but in front of the world's media.
But Jen knows that if Amber doesn't turn up and The Sun loses, then Depp can forever claim that he's not an abuser and that the trial proves it. So she flies to London.
The first day of trial, Amber was really nervous. You can only try to imagine what it would be like to be in her shoes, but this was the first time she was going to see Mr. Depp in person since they were divorced. In advance of the trial, because of the intense online hate and attacks that she had faced, that I had faced as her lawyer, the newspaper...
Just to reiterate what I said before, this is before the English trial, right? They're literally breaking down that she was already receiving abuse online, like ridiculous levels of abuse online. Nobody knew any facts yet. Nobody knew anything. So even her lawyer is receiving violent, like death threats, all sorts from them. So all this lies, their whole narrative that Johnny Depp supporters have is that she turned the whole world on Johnny Depp and they were all on her side in the beginning. They were not.
And the court had arranged for us to be able to enter through the judge's security entrance because we didn't know what was going to be outside court waiting for her when we arrived. If it was anything like what was happening online, we presumed it wouldn't be very pleasant.
The trial starts on the 7th of July 2020.
When we got to the court, there were a bunch of protesters outside, lots of Justice for Johnny signs, even people dressed up as Johnny Depp. And they were all milling about waiting for us to arrive. When we got to the gate, I was sat with Amber in the back of the car. We had her security guard in the front of the car with the driver. The car was encircled with paparazzi banging on the window. They do that to get the person to look up so they can get their shot. But also some of the protesters sort of circled the car and started shouting at us. Amber lies, you're an abuser, all kinds of insults about being a gold digger, being a whore.
Despite
Crazy.
representing some pretty famous people, Jen has never seen anything like this.
For someone who's there to give evidence about domestic violence, to have these people shouting and screaming at you in a really aggressive way, I found it offensive.
The trial lasts 3 weeks. Amber is cross-examined over 3 gruelling days by Depp's lawyers. According to Jen, they use tactics reminiscent of the 1970s, bringing up some of the worst stereotypes about domestic violence.
If it was true, why didn't she go to the police? If it was true, she would have more evidence of the injury.
And this is what courts do to this day. Yeah, they're saying to the 1970s, but this is what courts do. Courts still use horrifically horrible narratives towards women when they're going to talk about these things, and the whole system is actually a mess.
The fact is, Amber had a lot of evidence of injury. She had photographs, which they claim she had doctored. They even suggested with all this evidence she'd collected of images of bruises, you know, where's the video of him punching her or grabbing her by the hair? What domestic violence victim is able to take a selfie or film when they're being hit?
Before and during the
Right.
trial, Amber also faces thousands of attacks against her on social media, attacks that seem coordinated.
I started to question the authenticity of the activity going on when I received a whole raft of emails and tweets after Amber appeared with me at a Women's Day event associated with my chambers. It was quite early in the case. It was before the UK trial. I was acting for Amber and working with her in preparing for that case, but the trial hadn't happened yet. And it was the first time I really started to see what appeared to be inauthentic coordinated activity. So the same tweets, the same emails. It looked orchestrated. And when I say orchestrated, it was just one tweet would happen and then hundreds or thousands of tweets would come saying the same thing with the same hashtags and calling her Amber the abuser, Amber's a liar, justice for Johnny Depp, making awful comments about Amber and about us or about me as her lawyer. Attacks.
It's so important this is happening, you know. It's so important this is happening. Like I don't even know what I'm gonna label this, but we need to really obviously, as Stephen said, I'm more comfortable to write hyperbole titles, so I'll be coming out of a title saying Amber Heard is innocent, or Amber Heard was set up by a bot campaign, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be going off.
So my professionalism, the way I look, my personal life, but also threats of violence.
Jen is so concerned that she emails Amber's lawyers in America, asking them to get to the bottom of what she calls a targeted online campaign to undermine her client. But they never do. Finally, on the 28th of July, the trial is over. The judge retires to make his decision. 3 months later, Jen hears her computer ping. It's the judgment. Over 129 pages, Mr. Justice Nicol concludes that Depp has been violent against Amber on 12 separate occasions.
As I said, 12 or 14.
He finds that Depp has headbutted her, kicked her on an aeroplane, pushed her against a wall.
Headbutted her. He's admitted that. That's literally on tape, yeah. Kicked her on an aeroplane. Literally text messages from his security texting Amber about seeing it and how Depp apologised for it after, or like felt bad about it after. Like, these things are literally proven. Like, all these people that are Johnny Depp is innocent, these things are literally facts.
And grasped her by the throat. The judge finds that Heard has been the victim of, and I quote, sustained and multiple assaults. The next day, the Sun newspaper front page, under a picture of a flustered-looking Johnny Depp, runs the headline, "He is a wife beater." Amber Heard...
Still fuck the Sun. It's good they won this case because it's right, but still fuck the Sun.
Heard is...
Steve said, mate, I wasn't saying you are hyperbolic, only when you need to be. I know, but that is when I need to be. Just saying. And as for titles, that's clickbait tactics you must use to work in the algorithm. God world, yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It is just working the algorithm, innit? But yeah, but some of those titles are hyperbolic as well, innit? Do you know what I'm saying? And the things I'm saying on them. But yeah, I wasn't saying that in a negative way. I'm calm with that.
Is vindicated.
Honestly, I thought great.
And just to expand on that quickly, yeah, and we spoke about it earlier, but you said hyperbole has its place, right? The thing is, we live in a world of hyperbole of those opposites. Do you know what I'm saying? When you look at this story, the hyperbole is all in Johnny Depp's favour. Yeah, it's all hyperbole against Amber Heard. So yeah, sometimes I want to flip it and be like, okay, well, this is going to be hyperbolic the other way. Do you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I take an extreme stance. It relates to what we were talking about earlier. I said this to many people. Like, I take an extreme stance of defending rappers when they blame drill rappers for the violence going on. I take an extreme stance of saying no, it doesn't influence violence. And my reason for that is they're taking an extreme stance that it does. Do you know what I'm saying? When actually the percentage of how much it does is very tiny compared to the way they act it does. I'm saying the percentage of factors that come into that, like all the factors we saw in that video of like poverty and etc, is so much bigger that I'm cool with making that hyperbolic when I say no, it doesn't. Do you know what I'm saying? Stephen Trafford, yeah, good. Don't want to be misunderstood. I'm a fan. Respect, bro. No, respect, bro. Always appreciate your comments, man. You know what I'm saying? I got it. I got exactly what you said. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of just embracing it, if anything.
No one can now question her. This judgment is a huge victory for her and for the Sun. The judge lays out in detail the evidence. Surely no one can continue to question her now. This is the end.
And this is the thing, is so literally they proved he was guilty, yeah? So all these guys that are always defending men accused of stuff, they're always like, wait till it's proved in court, wait till this. They're always saying it's going to be proved wrong in court, wait till this, innocent until proven guilty. But then man gets proven guilty and they still carry on the same.
End of it, and it's got to be the end of it. And I was so wrong.
Why are you here? I am here because my ex-husband is suing me.
Amber doesn't know it yet, but her troubles are only just beginning. 18 months after the London trial, she faces another hearing in the US. And this time, she's the defendant.
Amber Turd and Johnny Depp. The defamation trial is set to commence. Amber, your time's up, love.
Jen thinks her client will be okay.
And I said to her at the time, by rights, you will win in the US because it is a more difficult standard of proof in the UK. That the Sun was able to win on a truth defence where they bore the burden of proof. In the US, you should have an easier time of it because the burden is on Johnny Depp to prove not only that what you said was not true, that he didn't hit you, but that you said it with malice. It's a much higher standard.
Here's what happens. 8 months after The Sun publishes its article, Amber writes a piece for the Washington Post. In it, she describes herself as a public figure representing abuse and calls for tougher laws against domestic abusers. She doesn't name Depp, and she doesn't call herself a victim. But that doesn't matter. Depp sues her anyway, claiming that anyone who reads the piece will know that it refers to him.
And it was proven in court, so she's allowed to write that. She's allowed to, you know what I'm saying? And she had been made that by him. She was made that representative of domestic violence by him, by his court case that brought this all out. She never brought it all out in public like that. He brought it all out in public.
He says that Amber's libel has cost him $50 million, including a part in Pirates of the Caribbean 6. On the 11th of April 2022...
Stephen Trevor said, that YouTuber just featured, can't remember his name, another effing outrage merchant. Tests think Gervais is funny. Is that Gervais you're saying, or he's talking about someone else, Garvais? I don't know if this was typo. I don't know who that is, so I'd have to go back on it. So I'll probably look back on this and try and work out what you're saying later when I'm editing.
The trial of Depp versus Heard finally begins.
This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
The US trial is looking broadly at the same questions as in London, but everything about it seems 10 times bigger. It's like if a low-budget indie movie is remade as a Hollywood blockbuster.
Mr. Depp's team is going to try to turn this case into a soap opera. Why?
Yep.
I'm not really sure, because the evidence isn't pretty for Mr. Depp.
So what are you saying though? Tests think Gervais is funny. Ricky Gervais is funny. Yeah, I don't personally. I can't quite work out the context of that there, but I don't think Ricky Gervais is very funny. Obviously, I love the American Office, which he created, but I don't find Ricky Gervais that funny, and I find his right wing, defend cancel culture humor that he's just leaning into these days pretty rubbish. But I've enjoyed some other stuff of his, I guess. Sorry, I just pulled it up, but I put it too much.
As in London, but everything about it seems 10 times bigger. It's like
The case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
the US trial is looking broadly at the same questions as in London, but everything about it says that Amber's libel has cost him $50 million.
Sorry if I read up too much,
Pirates
but
of the Caribbean 6. On the 11th of April 2022, the trial of Depp versus Heard finally begins.
This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
The US trial is looking broadly at the same questions as in London, but everything about it seems 10 times bigger.
Ricky complained about things you can't say, then says it. Ricky Gervais comedy routine. Yeah, exactly. Him and Dave Chappelle both, man. And they both say it and get away with it and blow up and do loads of success. It's an absolute load of rubbish. I mean, they've ruined themselves, man. I love Dave Chappelle, you know what I'm saying? But he's just become so boring repeating the same nonsense to an audience of people who are essentially just right-wing nutters who want to be able to say whatever they want.
Finally begins.
This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
The US trial is looking broadly at the same questions as in London, but everything about it seems 10 times bigger. It's like if a low-budget indie movie is remade as a Hollywood blockbuster.
Mr. Depp's team is going to try to turn this case into a soap opera. Why? I'm not really sure, because the evidence isn't pretty for Mr. Depp. It's not.
It's not.
You're going to see who the real Johnny Depp is. Behind the red carpets, behind the fame, behind the money, behind the pirate costumes. You're going to see who that man really is.
Outside the Virginia courthouse, Depp fans gather to cheer on their hero. Heckling Amber and her witnesses. Inside court, it's even worse. Against Amber's wishes, the judge allows the trial to be televised.
The cameras are in court, and you can watch every twist and turn live.
Over 7 weeks, hundreds of hours of footage are generated.
From the trending hash.
That's an important point that they said that against Amber's wishes, they had cameras. And what they'll argue, what his supporters argue, oh, that makes us able to see it for what it is rather than hide it. No, what that does is gives uneducated people who like to make memes and take things out of context all of the power to create narrative. Yeah, it's not what gives actually a more steady, balanced view of what's going on.
Hashtag justice for Johnny Depp to the viral memes mocking Amber Heard, even reenacting her claims of abuse for millions of likes.
And he slapped me in my face.
Every smirk, every grimace, every pause, it's all put online, shot from 6 different camera angles, and this helps the case go viral. Really viral. By May 2022, at the height of the trial, TikTok videos using the hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp have been viewed 15.7 billion times.
Today we're going to talk about something I don't think we've ever even spoken to each other about. The Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, defamation trial. Knee-jerk reaction, go. What do you think?
Amber's crazy.
We're going to find out whether or not Amber Heard shit in the bed next on the Joe Rogan Experience.
Never proven, and it's actually proven that it was more likely him. I'll get into that later if they cover it.
Online celebrities with large profiles talk about the case, but they're not the ones who keep Amber's name trending day after day. It's the tens of thousands of smaller social media accounts who do that. Some have only been created during the trial, others are tweeting 24 hours a day.
I missed the trick, because my Facebook blew up so hard when I was supporting Amber. I should have been doing it in videos. But, yeah, oh well. Stephen Trevor put a bunch of comments about comedians and stuff that I haven't got to, but I'm trying to not get a bit distracted because I rewound that bit about 3 times because I was getting distracted. But I want to do an episode one day where we only watch comedy. I said that on my Facebook. Because, we get so serious on it that sometimes I want to have a laugh. I want to do loads of really right-wing comedy that's about cancel culture and all that, so we can still keep it on social issues. But, you know what I'm saying, it will just be laughing at how mental they are.
Lots post about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard and nothing else.
Amber Heard is finished.
No one was not.
Amber Heard can't watch Amber Heard.
The accounts share clips from the trial, cutting them together to make Amber look bad, or they write long threads with their theories on the case. Many of the posts are provably wrong. There are false claims that Amber Heard snorted cocaine on the stand, that she took bits of her
people
testimony
believe that.
from a movie, The Talented Mr. Ripley. Some of the content looks automated, but it's hard to tell. The hate all mixes together.
Yeah, it's crazy. People were making memes. That's why everyone used to argue with us. Like, they would go, you didn't watch the trial. I was like, no, you didn't watch the trial. You watched memes. You watched memes and meme videos.
And if you use the internet like most of us do, scrolling through your socials quickly, you don't have time to double check this stuff. The overall impression is that Amber Heard is definitely lying.
112 says AH's trigger words are victim and liar. They need to capitalize on that.
Abusive, narcissistic years.
Spewing always
some
be a lying
1950s housewife abuse victim who's dropping her kids off.
Amber does not speak for me.
Wait a minute.
Amber Heard is a monster.
Amber Heard.
Steve said, don't do that. That's not comedy, that's brain rot, right-wing comedy. I swear that's an oxymoron. Well, maybe we've got to do really left-wing comedies, or at least like lines with what we're talking about on this channel.
Deserves prison.
Fuck you, Amber.
In the UK, Jen and Amber didn't have to worry too much about what was happening online. The case there was decided by a judge who was probably not going to pay TikTok or Twitter much attention. But in the US, the case is being decided by a jury. The most important thing to know about the jury in the Depp Heard case is that they're not sequestered, meaning that they aren't put in isolation after
Two most important things, yeah. The jury was not sequestered, as he's going to say now. They were not put in isolation away from what's seen in the media. So it's impossible, literally impossible, for them not to be influenced by the media. And this, I'm sure this show will break down, and I will break down, that this trial and the literal verdict was bullied by the media, which also, if they're going to reveal, was paid for from PR companies. They've literally paid for the outcome of this trial, right? That's what it's probably going to come down to, which is crazy. And then the fact that they were able to film it, which Amber Heard. So there was two key things: the fact they were allowed to film it and broadcast it, and then the jury weren't sequestered. So those two things, conclusively, that's it. To anyone with half a brain, any sort of form of intelligence at all, this was not a fair trial. You can't have a fair trial that's allowed to be filmed and the jury are allowed to see what's written in public. Well, they're told not to, but they're not kept away from it. So it's just not possible for that trial to have been uninfluenced by the public, and the public, as we're seeing, was influenced by paid PR campaigns.
Leaving court for the day. Even though they're not technically supposed to check the internet, there's nothing to stop them either.
It wasn't until the US trial happened and I observed what can only be described as an even more intense bout of online activity in a circumstance where you've got a jury that was not sequestered. That's where I think it does, and it can, and it did, have a very real impact.
On the 1st of June 2022, the jury finds against Amber Heard and for Johnny Depp, awarding him $10 million in damages. It's a stunning reversal from the UK judgment, which found that Depp had been violent to Amber on no fewer than 12 occasions.
Don't call it a reversal, because I said it before, yeah? I've been enjoying this whole thing, but he's wrong for calling it a reversal. It's not a reversal, it's a separate trial for a separate issue. It was about her words in an article. It was not about his abuse. It was not about disproving his abuse. It was not about proving her abuse. It was about her words in an article. His trial with the Sun was about his abuse, because the Sun had to prove that his abuse happened, and they did. So it's not a reversal.
Amber Heard is interviewed a few days after the trial.
And also they left out that he was also found guilty on one case of one count of defamation. They were both tried for 3 counts of defamation each. He lost one. She was found guilty on all 3, right? But he still lost a count of defamation. So that's not to be left out. He was actually found guilty in both trials.
Vast majority of this trial was played out on social media. I think that this trial is an example of that gone haywire, gone amok, and the jury is not immune to that.
Of course not.
And you could say, well, she would say that, wouldn't she? After all, it's easier to blame the internet. But what if it's true? What if a coordinated online campaign did ramp up the hate against Amber to the point where a jury simply couldn't avoid?
It's not even a what if, man. Like, it's so obvious, but like, I'm glad they're here and I'm hoping they're really going to prove it.
One of the things I find weird about the Depp case is that for all the money and attention thrown at it, no real effort has gone into trying to answer this question. There are rumours about bots, about trolls, about organised campaigns, but it's all conjecture. Lots of heat, but almost no light. So, okay, if this is a movie, it's got my attention. I'm convinced by this point that it's a story worth digging into, a story that could be much bigger than the celebrities in the middle of it. I want to know who trolled Amber. But that's jumping the gun. First, I have to show that bots and trolls were used against her in the first place, that it wasn't just real-life Johnny Depp fans giving her shit. And maybe if I work out what happened, I can find some clues about who might have been behind it. So I start at the beginning. I look through thousands of pages of court documents filed in both the UK and the US. I'm looking for any mention of bots, and they're not difficult to find. There's a deposition given by Amber's agent.
Just as I would go through, daily, just looking at comments or accounts that just had, no followers, no posts, nothing, or following just Amber and Johnny. They weren't consistent with what I know to be actual Instagram accounts.
And this email sent by her publicist.
Our company, with 3,000 followers, gets killed consistently on Instagram when we post about Amber. There has to be an algorithm that they follow. I've clicked on many of those making obscene comments, and they all seem to be bots.
Jen had...
They're all dead accounts. Like, that's mad, man. Like, it's so obvious it's unreal. Come on, man.
Also told me about a counterclaim filed by Amber against Johnny. A counterclaim is a claim against someone who has already brought a legal action against you. Amber files her counterclaim as part of the US proceedings. She submits it in 2020, a few months after Depp sues her. Basically, from that moment, the couple are suing each other. In her counterclaim, Amber alleges that Depp's team created, coordinated, controlled and or manipulated social media accounts specifically for the purpose of targeting Miss Heard. In other words, it accuses Depp of orchestrating a bot campaign against her. But this part of the counterclaim is problematic. As evidence of this supposed campaign, Amber's lawyers list out a whole bunch of Twitter accounts that they say are bots.
Oh, so this was actually in, let's basically break it down. I remember this now. This was actually in the trial or in the accusations from Amber to Johnny, right? They were saying that already before the trial happened in the previous trial that there was a campaign of abuse going against her, right? That was in her counterclaim to him.
But when I look at some of these accounts online, I find that many seem to be real people. I feel pretty certain that the counterclaim gets a lot of stuff wrong. And it seems to have confused Depp's superfans, people obsessed enough with the actor to post 20 or 30 times a day, with bots. So I'm not surprised when I discover that a judge dismissed Amber's claim about bots for lack of evidence more than a year before the US trial.
So they didn't allow it maybe to be brought forward into the case if they dismissed it a year before the trial. Interesting. I mean, he makes a point that there are real ones. Obviously, we do know there were some real ones, like a lot, you know what I'm saying? But were there bots that spread it first that then influenced the real ones?
And that decision turns out to be critical. Because from the moment that part of the counterclaim is dismissed, the issue of bots is off the table. When the trial starts at Fairfax County Court in Virginia, and Amber's witnesses eventually take the stand, they aren't even allowed to talk about bots or a bot campaign. Because by then, the issue has already been decided in Depp's favour.
Crazy. And it's not the only thing. I hope they cover more, because it's not the only thing. Because there's evidence in the first trial with the son that was not put into the second trial. So it may not just be the bots that were paid. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there were certain things that were set up to help Johnny win from before the trial even started.
And that left me wondering, Did any of Amber's witnesses suspect that a bot campaign had occurred, but just couldn't say? Does any evidence exist that wasn't presented at trial?
Be seated.
And also, like, just because you mentioned witnesses, the fact that there's so much hate, such a hate campaign was going on, whether real or bots, definitely influenced her witnesses not to take the stand and not to support her. Like, the public literally bullied her witnesses not to come forward, like, not to stand up for her, and for nobody to support her.
Your next witness?
We call Ron Schnell.
Okay. Schnell.
Schnell.
Thank you, sir.
I go through Amber's witness list, and there's one name that stands out. Ron Schnell. Ron is a computer expert from Miami. His speciality is social media forensics.
I do software projects and manage software projects and architect them. But I also do things like this, where I'm consulting in litigation and sometimes testifying in litigation.
He tells the court that he's analysed huge numbers of tweets posted against Amber Heard, but he only testifies on a relatively narrow point about whether or not anti-Amber tweets went up whenever Depp's lawyer, a guy called Adam Waldman, accused her of faking her abuse claims. By the time the case goes to trial, that narrow question, the thing about the lawyer, is the only part of Amber's counterclaim against Depp that hasn't been struck out.
Mad.
So I wonder, does Ron Schnell know more than he was letting on?
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Ron. How are you?
Well, thank you.
In March last year, I give him a call.
Although the judge did throw out the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act claim, I had already done a lot of work relating to it. So this whole question of were there bots, was there an orchestrated campaign, was something I did look into, just never got to see the light of the trial.
Ron explains that when he came onto the case, one of the first things he did was download a whole bunch of tweets which were critical of Amber Heard. We're talking almost 1 million posts, gigabytes worth of data.
I actually used something called Botometer. There's a web version where you can just give it a Twitter handle and it'll tell you...
One second.
I fed in hundreds...
Right. That actually crashed the sidecar now. I literally was just riding it out on the sidecar, letting it, it's saying it's unable to connect now. What? Unable to connect. Alright, we're back. We're back. We're nearly at the end of this, so after this I'm going to sign out, man. I didn't actually intend to go on for this long, but 1 second. 1 second. I think my internet might have cut out there and cut me out, cut a lot of things off, but I'm coming back. I'm back now, so I'm hoping this is back online and all that, and I'm able to just quickly end this because there's only a few minutes left. Let me see if this plays out my headphones.
Hundreds of thousands of anti-Amber
let me just
tweets.
I'll pull it up a little.
Used something called...
Did was download a whole bunch of tweets which were critical of Amber Heard. We're talking almost 1 million posts, gigabytes worth of data.
I actually used something called Botometer. There's a web version where you can just give it a Twitter handle and it'll tell you whether it thinks it's a bot or not. I fed in hundreds of thousands of anti-Amber Heard tweets and got a lot of data from that.
But his work stopped when the judge threw out...
Shout out Stephen, man. He says he's going to bow out now. See you on the next stream. Cool. I'll be back with the music one on Monday, 9 p.m. But yeah, I'm ending this in 5 minutes anyway. There's a few minutes left of this. I'll wrap it up just so that I got my video to edit out of it. But enough love, bro. Always appreciated.
Most of Amber Heard
and got a lot of data from that.
But his work stopped when the judge threw out most of Amber Heard's counterclaim, meaning that the jury never heard anything about Ron's data. Ron won't go much further on the phone. He needs to check what he's allowed to tell us.
If I were to ask Amber Heard's legal team for their permission to disclose your work in this area, would you be happy for me to look at it?
Sure.
That's really helpful. Thank you.
I feel like I have my first lead. Ron still has his huge database of tweets, hundreds of thousands of anti-Amber messages, perfectly preserved. Within that data might be patterns, networks, links that reveal which accounts were working together. If I can pick up where Ron left off, I might be able to learn about what happened to Amber Heard, who might have been responsible, and the ways we're all being manipulated online. Next time on Who Trolled Amber, we go to Miami to see Ron.
It appears to be some sort of organized attack.
We speak to a Hollywood insider.
She couldn't get an audition, and no one would hire her.
And we learn about disinformation from an emu.
Emmanuel, leave it alone. Emmanuel, don't do it!
We contacted Johnny Depp while making this podcast, but he didn't respond.
Of course he didn't.
Thank you for listening to Who Trolled Amber. Who Trolled Amber is written and reported by me, Alexi Mostras, and by Xavier Greenwood. The producer is Xavier Greenwood. Additional reporting by Katie Riley. Sound design is by Carla Patella. The narrative editor is Gary Marshall. The editor...
So his name's Alexi. Is that what the man was saying earlier? Someone said something about this guy. Was someone saying something negative about them? I don't know who they are. I'll have a bit of look into who they are. But this is interesting. Obviously, he's done a whole investigation. I'm doing my own investigation just sitting here, yeah? And just by listening to his thing. So I'm just investigating through him. For now, I'll probably do this whole series and then I'll go into doing other Amber Heard content and other Amber Heard investigating online. Because, you know, it's something I was so involved in. It actually blew up my Facebook in a lot of ways. I was getting thousands of comments and interactions. So it's something I should come to. And look, this has only got 3,000 views. This isn't like popping off. Like, it's only in a certain community being heard about for some reason, I feel like. Or maybe it's got more views on like Spotify and like podcasts and Audible or something. Maybe. It's annoying because I actually want to listen straight through it all right now. But I want to do it as reactions. So only 800 comments. I want to see what the other episodes are, if possible. But I bet if I click on episode 3 Into the Dark, episode 4 Through the Looking Glass, 5 The Special Relationships, episode 2 Gold Dust. That looks like I clicked on it already. That might be one I clicked on and started. Public Enemy. Alright, so we're going to continue this Amber Heard journey. Hashtag I stand with Amber Heard always. And big up for everyone that's locked in, because this was out of the blue and unexpected episode of SJW Live. I've only covered 2 things today. Yeah, usually I try and cover at least 7 things, or I have 7 videos to chop up and upload for a whole week. But I already did a video that with the UK Legends thing that I'm already uploading stuff from. But yeah, socialjusticewarrior.co.uk to get your Social Justice Warrior t-shirt and other merch. Much respect, man. We back. I think the Monday slot is probably going to be usually the UK Legends show now. I will work out another regular slot